Into Jox, this is Three-Man Front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad. We are live on this holiday. Hope everybody is having a good day. No big surprise. We've got storms in the metro Birmingham area, and that is affecting our broadcast today. We originally, Landrum, we were set to be right there at Rickwood Field as the home run derby for the East-West Classic was supposed to start at noon. The game was going to be at 1 o'clock. That has now been pushed back. The home run derby will take place at 2 o'clock, the game itself at 3 o'clock. And because of the inclement weather, especially what we experienced yesterday afternoon, we made the decision because of our equipment and other things that we decided that we would be in studio today instead of being there at Rickwood, which we all hated because we were there all last year for the whole week of the festivities. But because of the weather and we can all experience what we have had the last few weeks, think a lot of people understand that.
Yeah, history's the best teacher, Pat. And we have learned from past experiences that a lot of times wet weather, the unpredictability of our equipment, it's not conducive. But the good news is there's a silver lining. It looks like, and according to a lot of meteorologists here in the area, or a few of the meteorologists that I've seen and heard from, that a lot of this stuff, as far as severity of the storms, the burst, all of that should be cleared out, at least here for the Birmingham Metro. And then later on today, by pushing that, hopefully we will get a break. The rain, not completely gone, but most of it gone. And then the folks that couldn't get out there early, they can go out later on, watch the home run derby, watch the game. Yeah, so hopefully, as Landrum said, everything will be pushed out. We will get an update from Rickwood Field from Mike Newton, the Friends of Rickwood. He will join the show at 10:30. So a reminder, the home run derby that was supposed to start at noon has been pushed back to 2 o'clock. The game itself was supposed to be at 1. Now it's 3. So it's a 2-hour pushback on those events. So just want to let everybody know. I know a lot of people are looking forward to getting back out to Rickwood Field, seeing all the former great Major League Baseball stars participate in the home run derby and the game itself. So just going to be delayed a little bit. So hopefully the atmosphere will get stabilized. And I just know that yesterday afternoon in Metro Birmingham was one of the worst days that I've experienced trying to get back to Trussville. It was pretty bad. Yeah, and I did not envy your trip that you had to make, but I live about 5 minutes from the station, and it was the same thing. It was just a sheet. You couldn't see it, and actually had a little incident or problem that developed on my roof with a pinhole. So I'll have to call our roofing friends. But I went up there. I was on the roof this morning with a temporary fix and then in the attic trying to address that. That's where Abide Roofing comes in, abideroof.com. See, that's what I'm telling you. Take advantage of the free roof inspection. So we will keep you posted on what's going on at Rickwood Field. Now, we're in full regalia today. It's kind of like opening day for us. Mm-hmm. You're wearing your Homestead Grays jersey, the Josh Gibson jersey. I'm wearing the St. Louis Stars. This is the jersey, if you're watching this on YouTube, this is the jersey that they wore at Rickwood when they played the San Francisco Giants last year. Molly has got her Detroit Tigers.
Mr. Riley Green.
Yep, Riley Green jersey on. And, of course, Goofball in the other room. He's wearing his New York Yankee jersey because the Yankees have lost 6 in a row now.
Well, they finally scored, though. They scored a run.
They did.
It only took 30 innings, Pat, but they got it done.
2 runs?
2 runs. I'm sorry, friend.
2 runs last night.
Yes.
Thank you.
2 runs. A very heavy-laden baseball-type show today. We were going to be at Rickwood, but, man, what a game last night in Omaha, Nebraska. LSU and Arkansas. I have not done a check on Ty Richardson. I do not know how he is. Molly, have you heard from him? Have you texted with him?
I have not. Conrad, have you?
I'll keep that private.
Oh.
He doesn't want that. It was rough.
It was rough?
Did you comfort him?
Yeah. I was up late last night. Had to talk through a lot of things, talk him off the ledge a couple times, but I think he's in better spirits today.
Where do you talk to him and FaceTime him generally when your wife Paige is home?
In my bathroom.
Okay.
Privacy.
Well, you share a lot of life's most intimate moments there in the bathroom.
You asked.
According,
I got to be honest.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the honesty.
I mean, you
friend.
don't have to be honest, but
Nah,
I think people appreciate the honesty.
For entertainment value, we appreciate it when you're honest.
Yeah, okay. All right, so LSU beats Arkansas. Tiger Jared Jones tied it with a home run in the bottom of the 8th. Game-winning single in the bottom of the 9th. It's the second career walk-off for Jones. The Tigers scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning with 2 outs to advance. Charles Davilin's misplayed ball in left field, that is going to go down, Landrum, as just like the drop foul ball. Or actually, not dropped. Nobody attempted to catch the ball, in which they almost won the national championship against Oregon State. But just a rough night if you're an Arkansas Razorback fan.
Yeah, and I'm seeing there, are they snake bit? Are they cursed? There's something, but very unfortunate that play in that situation, it happens. It was really tough to tell. The stumble, the misstep, whatever it wasn't good. It was good if you're an LSU fan. And for Arkansas fans, you thought maybe this was your best team. You have a guy that comes out and he throws a no-hitter. But LSU, apparently that was the kryptonite for this particular Hog team. And congratulations to LSU. They're going to face a very good Coastal team. But for Dave Van Horn, you have to kind of shrug your shoulders and say, well, what gives?
Yeah, and you feel bad, but I don't know about y'all, but when you're watching the game and you had the opportunity to turn the double play and he goes after the guy at third base instead, that was just one of those moments where you're sitting there and you're going, I don't know how, but this is going to come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Just in those high-pressure, high-leverage situations, that's the stuff that kills you, and you feel so bad for those guys for Arkansas.
Yeah, and even Jones's hit that won the game, it just came out of the glove of Arkansas.
If their second baseman is 3 inches taller, it's probably a highlight play on SportsCenter Top 10.
No doubt. All right, this is the way it sounded on the LSU radio network last night as the Voodoo Magic from the Bayou made its way to Omaha.
The 1-0 from Gibbler. Swung on, a line drive to left field, coming in, diving! It's going to be Davilon, and he missed it! It's over in the corner! Coming in to score is Fry. They'll send in Milam, and we are tied at 5-all! Hey now! One of the best defensive teams in all of the country, and Davilon took a chance on coming in, trying to get the line drive, and it ricochets off his body into the corner, and we are tied at 5-all. Wow! 2 balls, 1 strike to Jared Jones. Hernandez down at second base. Bottom of the ninth, tie game. This one hit in the air, line drive. It's off the glove of Kojal into center field. Here comes Hernandez. He is safe. Tigers win. Tigers win. They are headed to the championship series here in Omaha. Bye-bye, Arkansas.
That's the way it sounded on the LSU radio network, and you could tell on the dropped fly ball how shocked they were.
Oh my God, oh my God.
They could not believe, not only did he miss it, but the way it hit off his body, then ricocheted into the corner.
Do you think our friend Matt Moscona has been to bed yet?
I don't know. And they were.
I saw some very entertaining videos of T-Bob at the
Barstool headquarters.
At the Barstool office.
Yeah,
he was having a good night.
So the Hogs are now 0-5 in Omaha against LSU all time. Let's hear from the losing manager, Dave Van Horn. This is what he had to say about the missed fly ball. From his perspective, sitting in the dugout, this is what he saw.
The ball, because I had a straight-on view of it, it was hit hard, obviously, and it was kind of hooking and sinking. But it looked like Charles slipped, like right at the beginning, had taken off for it. And then when he slipped, he probably lost sight of it. And when the ball's hit that hard, he was just trying to find it. And I'd have to watch it again. We're a long ways away. That's what I saw.
You had to feel for Davilon. A kid that was absolutely, I heard him say during the post-game press conference that literally he was probably solely responsible for 10 wins in the SEC this year.
Yeah, and one of his teammates, I saw the quote where he said he kept apologizing to it, and it kind of hacked me off because of how much he's meant to this team.
Yeah. Let's hear what Dave Van Horn had to say about Davilon and, unfortunately, the play that will go down in Arkansas baseball history.
I just told him straight. I started telling him that how much I appreciated him, and we would never have made it here without him. And he said that he was sorry, and I said, "Don't tell me you're sorry. You don't have to tell me you're sorry." And then he said it again, and it's tough. That kid doesn't have to be sorry for anything. He was our glue, man. He held it together.
No, and he's exactly right. He should not be sorry, but unfortunately, and we've all had those moments in competitive sports at any level where everybody else can tell you don't blame yourself, but you're still going to blame yourself. And he'll never forget that moment, unfortunately.
It was just a confluence of all the things that went wrong. Like you said, from the situation of you thought that Arkansas caught a break when LSU tried to be cute with the old Little League double steal, where they tried to steal the run. And they, obviously Arkansas, they thwarted it, they stopped it. And then just having the double play ball that should have been.
I mean, 99 times out of 100, he flips his hips and he's going to second base. I mean, that's just a.
I mean, you're
that's
talking
a
about the
brain fart
SEC
moment.
Player of the Year.
Yeah, he's going to be a first-round pick next month in the MLB draft.
Yeah, and he doesn't go for again, worst case scenario, you got runners at first and third.
And maybe, who knows, maybe he thought it was a one-run game. He didn't want him to be able to tie it. He thought there were 2 outs maybe, but fundamental baseball.
But also go back to the fact that, and Van Horn was asked, talking, deep in the weeds baseball here, but he was asked with 2 outs with a runner in scoring position at second, why did you pitch to Jared Jones?
Mm-hmm.
You had a base open. So, and that's why watching the first pitch was a slider. They were trying to get him to fish. And at that point in time, I'm like, you're putting him on. You give him one opportunity to swing at a bad pitch. And then, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they went after him. And Dave Van Horn, he was asked point blank, why did you pitch to Jones? And he says, we got a righty-righty matchup. I didn't even hesitate. So he's won more games than I have ever seen probably in my lifetime. So I'm not dogging him for making that decision. But that was just something in the middle of the game I started questioning myself just as a baseball fan. Like, why are you letting a guy that hit a home run off you in the 8th inning, why are you giving him the opportunity to beat you?
Well, and even the intangible stuff because when he hit that home run, it came right after he made the error at first base, right? That gave Arkansas the lead. So he comes back, hits that home run, he makes up for it. But again, just in the nature of that specific game last night, you have to have that sense as a coach of, like, there's just, again, it's an intangible thing with that guy, but he made a mistake earlier. He made up for it. Why do we want to give him another chance to be the hero? And that's exactly what he ended up doing. But, I mean, hey, you ride or die with your guys, and sometimes it doesn't work out. And unfortunately for Arkansas, just a couple inches too high on that line drive to second base last night.
Man, that was rough. They will now play LSU, Coastal Carolina. So Landrum will get the matchup that he's been praying for.
Not praying for
Props
it.
to you. You called it, though.
Yeah, good job.
I don't think anybody – I hope LSU wins. I don't think they're going to beat Coastal Carolina.
They're insane. I saw last night the longest winning streak going into the finals was 18 games by USC and like 70 years ago. Coastal Carolina now on a 26-game.
Can't put your finger on it. It's just one of those teams. We've seen it across different sports. They just got that it factor.
Team of destiny.
I'll be pulling for LSU.
Well, it's fascinating because a lot of people are comparing that to the Coastal team that won it in 2016. This team, statistically speaking, is much better than the one that won the national championship in 2016. 2016, they went 55-18. Currently, this Chanticleer team is 56-11.
And look at their path to get into the finals in Omaha. It's been relatively easy. You win your first game by 3, your second game by 4, and your third game by 8.
Yeah.
Oh, they're smoking people, yeah.
Yeah, they're 8-0 in the NCAA tournament. Back when they won the national championship before, they went 11-3. So this team is head and shoulders, even other statistical categories, are better than the one that won in 2016. Now, that does not necessarily mean statistically you might be a better team, but that doesn't mean that you're going to win the national championship. But if you're comparing those two teams, the one that won it in 2016 for the school, this one is by far better.
I can't remember all the matchups we've had in the College World Series, obviously, but this finals seems like it's going to be one of the most fun that I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it should be also. I mean, last year was cool having 2 SEC teams in, but you've got the 2 teams that I think we'd all agree are playing the best baseball right now, and hopefully the SEC brings home a trophy.
All right, so we asked the listeners today on Three Man Front on the Twitter poll question, Molly, had to do with last night's surprising loss by Arkansas and the win by LSU.
Yeah, what was your reaction to LSU's incredible comeback win against Arkansas? Is it the Hogs are cursed, or LSU is the team of destiny? And right now, the results so far, 83.5% saying the Hogs are cursed. Only 16.5% saying LSU is the team of destiny.
So the curse is alive and well.
It
I just think
is.
it's that LSU baseball DNA. They're in Omaha. They expect to win on that stage.
Yeah, I saw a crazy stat. They have had 14 innings in postseason play this year where they've scored 3 runs or more. 14 different innings. That's incredible.
So both teams, they'll get a couple of days to rest up. Now, obviously, Coastal, pretty good shape in regards to what their rotation and their bullpen looks like. But meanwhile, LSU, this is big for them to have a couple of days. By them not having to play tonight in a winner-take-all game, that's huge. For them to kind of reset everything, take a couple days off, go to the Omaha Zoo, kind of chill out, right?
Oh, yeah.
You
Go
know?
to the zoo. It's great.
Yeah. So
I
Don't
didn't
go
get
to
to the zoo.
Rocco's. If you see the players at Rocco's, you're in trouble.
Maybe after.
After the win?
Yes.
Yeah.
You think the players go to Rocco's during the week? Kind of like the players in New Orleans
that's
going
that
to
was-
Bourbon
that-
Street.
That's what I was going to bring up. When Alabama played LSU, I was hanging out in the Harrah's Casino, which I know that surprises everybody on this show.
What, you?
But I was at Harrah's, and basically the whole entire LSU football team, including Jefferson, the starting quarterback, who lost his wallet underneath the craps table, and Paul Feinbaum picked it up and handed it to him. And I said, "Why didn't you just hand me the wallet?" I think I've told you this. You know who was in charge of the Alabama? That there were a few Alabama players inside Harrah's. Would you like to take a guess at what coach was in charge of the Alabama players in Harrah's to make sure that there was, because they did not want a lot of cross-pollination between LSU and Alabama players because they were worried that there might be
Yeah, a scuffle or
a
something.
scuffle or a newsmaker or anything. But yeah, there was a coach that was put in charge of the Alabama players inside Harrah's.
Scott Cochran?
No.
It's been 2011.
Pretty famous former assistant coach at Alabama.
Kirby?
Nope. He got in serious NCAA trouble.
Mr. Pruitt.
Jeremy Pruitt. I'll never forget staying there talking to Coach Pruitt, and we had Trent Richardson walk up and interrupt our conversation because he was like, literally, Coach, just wanted to check in. I'm going back to the hotel. Because, their hotel was the Marriott, which is right there on Canal Street, which is right down from the casino. And so he was checking in with Coach and said, hey, I'm heading back to the hotel. So I guess he was doing a head count of who was in, the casino or whatever the case may be. So
It's always very interesting when these teams go to places. You do forget that some of them are of age to gamble and consume alcohol, but how that's treated by
Let's put all
different
major
coaching
sporting
staffs.
events in Oklahoma City, so they have nothing to do.
And compare and contrast that the next year in which we were in Miami for the Notre Dame, Alabama, and watching A.J. McCarron and Catherine Webb
parasail.
have their own little section off at the, was it the Clevelander? I forgot where it was, where we saw them. Oh, yeah, they had bodyguards. They had a whole.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It was a club.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
They get bottle service.
Probably.
I think they sized up that Notre Dame team and saw the same thing you did and said, yeah, we're going to be just
Well, if you
fine.
remember, there were 2 players that got sent home from South Beach. And both of them were not household names.
Yeah.
And Nick Saban told us in a private meeting at the next SEC football media days, because we went up to his suite, you have an opportunity, you sit down, you can ask him off the record conversations, questions about the previous season. And he said that was the best thing that happened to that football team. Not saying they weren't focused, but when he said that they sent those 2 players home from South Florida, it got everybody's attention that they weren't playing around.
This is a business trip.
Absolutely. He said from that point on, everybody was locked in. I mean, it showed. It showed
Yes,
for
it
sure.
did.
See, if you
first
host
quarter.
an event like Major League Baseball did in the Field of Dreams game in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, you don't have to worry about this kind of stuff.
That's right. And so you don't have to worry about Omaha unless vape shops in Lincoln, unless players want to go down there and hang
That's
out.
true.
Well, they
Omaha's
stepped up
got a
their
pretty
security
cool.
now.
Omaha's got a pretty cool little scene there. Though.
Yeah.
You could
The
find
area around the
a little
stadium
bit
is
of
really
trouble
fun.
there,
Yeah.
Pat.
Okay.
Host something in P-Town.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You might get some stories out of that you weren't expecting.
Exactly.
You might not be too happy with the fan base once they find out some stuff.
Conrad, admit it. We're here for the stories.
All right, we will talk to Mike Newton at the bottom of the hour at Rickwood Field. It actually looks like it's getting a little bit lighter outside, so maybe this onslaught that we had about 25 minutes ago, maybe it's out of here.
It's just a break. I looked at the radar.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
Molly, you saw the radar.
Yeah, Landrum showed me.
Looked like a big green monster with blood coming out of its mouth.
Dang.
He's not wrong.
Dang. Graphic there.
I was just trying to paint a picture.
Oh, well, you did. This is Three-Man Front on Jox. We'll take your calls, your text. We're here live in studio. Jox. At 11 o'clock, we will talk to Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider. A lot of recruiting news going on at the University of Alabama, including a brand new quarterback that decommitted from Iowa State. He is now heading to Tuscaloosa, according to his verbal commitment. He is now competing in the Elite 11 competition. So we'll talk to Rodney, also Rob Pate, a little bit later in the show. Bottom of this hour, we're going to talk to Mike Newton, get an update from Rickwood Field.
Well, we have a long summer of heat and humidity ahead, so keep your home comfortable with Trane, America's most reliable HVAC brand. And to give you more peace of mind, Trane is offering up to 10-year warranties on parts and labor on select home comfort systems. So to learn more about this offer and to find a specialist near you, visit Trane.com.
Well, Landrum has been needing this. He's been wanting this. And so far, the Atlanta Braves have delivered the first 2 games of the series. If you missed it on Jox, this is the way it sounded on the Braves radio network.
First pitch on the way from Blackburn, swung on and drilled deep center field. Taylor going back, all aboard. That thing's leaving town. A home run by Acuna, and it's 1-0 Braves. Everybody on their feet. That's what they came to see. First pitch, and it's 1-0 Atlanta. 1-2 to Ozuna. In the dirt, bouncing away from Torrens. Runners hold.
Whoa. Catcher used his mask to stop the ball. That's a catcher's balk.
Wow.
And produces a run.
Sure did. When's the last time you saw a catcher's balk?
I don't remember.
3-2 pitch, and Olsen hits one a mile high to right field. A skyscraper to the chop house, and out of here. What an at-bat by Matt Olsen. And he finally got one he could barrel, and he just taught that thing how to fly. Make it 5-0 Brave. Kicks and fires. Softly tapped out to a diving sail from a knee, throws over. That's some hocus pocus magic by Sale. An amazing defensive play for out number 1. Ozzie was charging from second and coming off the bat. It seemed like a foregone conclusion. It's Ozzie or no one. But Sale went diving off the mound like an Olympic diver.
Ah, that was an awesome play. Chris Sale, he still believes. And just the fact that he goes, Snitker goes to him, they talk about it, let him come out for the 9th inning. And he had been really efficient. But at that point, in that play that you just heard, I think his pitch total was around 110. And he's diving for that ball, and you could just see the reaction. Hopefully this is going to be a spark for the Braves, something they can carry not only to tonight's game with Strider on the bump, but also the series with the Marlins. But this team has been really hard to figure out.
Very rare catcher's balk. You saw that. You could also have a catcher's balk if the catcher receives the ball out of the catcher's box.
Right.
That's behind home plate. A lot of times, maybe if you're doing an intentional pass.
When's the last time you saw that with the catcher's mask? I never had it. We never had it come up.
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I've seen it a couple years ago because obviously you cannot use the equipment. I think we talked about it on the show. You had Crow Armstrong for the Chicago Cubs.
TCA.
He was legging out a double against the Mets a couple weeks ago, and his helmet fell off. And so he caught his helmet in his hand. He slid past the base, and with his helmet in his hand, he reached back and used his helmet to stop himself from sliding off the bag. And the Met shortstop, it wasn't Lindor, it was somebody filling in for Lindor, tagged him, and the umpires called him safe. That was the wrong call. You cannot use your equipment. That's not what the helmet is made for. Now, if you had one of those 25-inch oven mitts, that's a different story because it's made for your hand. But by him taking his helmet, and it's crazy because the umpires, they had to, after the game, Major League Baseball had to release a statement on that particular play that they got that wrong. It's amazing how the 4 umpires that was calling that game got that wrong. So, yeah, it's one of those things about using your equipment to obviously either help yourself on a base or try to stop a ball.
I like the improvisation, though,
just
by
like
PCA.
Just like when Conrad played up at Hayden Little League, when he was playing outfield and a ball would go over his head, he would take his glove off and throw it up in the air to try to stop the ball. You can't do that.
I could never hit the ball, though.
Yeah, but you can't do that.
From the angle of where your arm was coming from, I thought you were talking about some protective equipment that he would throw up.
Oh, you never know with him.
He probably wasn't wearing one.
But Chris Sale was dominant last night. 8 2/3 innings, 116 pitches of 1-run ball. Atlanta has won 3 consecutive series, 6 of 8 games, since losing 14 of 17 games. Here's a funny little stat from last night. Left-handed pitchers in Major League Baseball earned the win in 10 of the 12 Major League games that was played last night. That is 83.3% of the wins last night came from left-handers. That's the highest percentage of games won by lefties in any single game in the modern history of Major League Baseball.
Oh.
So teach your kids to throw left.
That's right. It'll pay off in the long run.
Yes, it will.
We'll go to Rickwood Field next. Mike Newton, Friends of Rickwood, give us an update of today's East-West Classic. This is Jox. This is Three Man Front. .33 on Jox, Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock on a stormy Thursday. We will go to Rickwood Field momentarily, talk to Mike Newton from the Friends of Rickwood. We'll get an update. The weather situation this morning's kind of pushed the schedule back a little bit. So we will talk to Mike and find out the very latest and what they're hearing and what they're seeing on the old radar machine out at Rickwood Field, because I got a feeling that Major League Baseball, they've done this a time or two. They know exactly what is going on in regards to the weather situation, the exact timing, and when folks will be able to come to Rickwood and enjoy the festivities. Very excited about this East-West Classic when it was announced. If you remember back, historically speaking, the Negro League's East-West All-Star Game debuted in 1933 at Chicago's Comiskey Park. It was played annually through 1962, including several years in which they had double All-Star games for the Negro Leagues. Last year, the game came back into existence. It was played out at Cooperstown, New York at Doubleday Field. So this is the second annual East-West Classic in which Rickwood will be hosting. And so let's go to the Higginbotham hotline and talk to Mike Newton now from the Friends of Rickwood. Mike, we dodged major bullets last year when we had the Rickwood Classic, the game between the Cardinals and the Giants, but not so lucky this morning. What's the very latest?
Yeah, so people are starting to move around again here, which is a good sign. We were under shelter cover. They were a little bit concerned about lightning strikes, and fortunately there was no lightning strikes around us. So we were very fortunate that that was the case. But yeah, so, I'm not a meteorologist, but I can tell you, as they used to say, back in the circus, the show must go on, right?
That's right.
So, at 12:30, the shuttles and the gates will start. Well, the gates will be open and the shuttles will start running out at Legion Field. The meteorologist with the MLB group that is here on site and their team of experts who call these games throughout the nation and stuff, they said, hey, once we get to the 12:30 mark, of course our grounds crew's already out there now, but yeah, they're saying we've got a good view of what's coming upon us, and that they feel like we'll get this in.
Even with the I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, so the home run derby will be at 2:00, and the game time, the All-Star game will be at 3:00, and so yeah. And by the way, I think you guys had something to do with it, because I know your show only goes till 2:00. So now this means you can make the game, right?
That's right. See, kind of played that out perfectly for us. So we wanted to be there.
It usually works in reverse for us, Mike.
Yeah, normally everything is held for Paul Feinbaum at 2:00, but we're very disappointed because we originally we've been planning this for a long time about being there and doing the show. We were all excited about being there, and because of the inclement weather, we have Birmingham has been hammered like nobody's business the last month or so.
And it's not just Birmingham. Most of the people here from MLB live up in the New York area, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. They said they've been getting hit just constantly. And so I blame them for bringing it down with them to add to it. So, no, anyway, yeah, it's just one of those strange, phenomena where we're just getting pounded each day. And so, but it's not just the Southeast. It goes all the way up to the East Coast.
How much water can, even with the enhancements, because of all the rain, how much water can that field hold?
Yeah, so we actually didn't get a lot of course it did, I guess for about 5 to 10 minutes it rained somewhat hard, but compared to yesterday, and then it lightened up pretty quickly. We feel like, in Major League Baseball, we feel like we're at a good point. And, when we did put in the new field, now we've got the state-of-the-art drainage system out there, and the tarp went out there over the field, over the infield, and we feel like we're in a good position. Of course, the guys that are going to be playing in it, I'm sure they'll be a little bit cautious themselves, but no, we feel it should drain as it's built to do so, and it's major league quality now. The field should easily have handled this. So yeah, and our grounds crew, which is also aided by a number of people from the MLB grounds crew, the team that they brought down last year, they're doing a great job, and they'll have it ready. All
right, so reminder, gates are going to open up at 12:30. Is that the same time that shuttles will begin at Legion Field?
Yes, at Legion Field. Yes, that's correct.
Okay,
yeah.
And so the home run derby is at 2:00, game is at 3:00.
That's correct. And to be honest with you, it's kind of here I am, Mr. Optimistic. The shuttle, I think that's a blessing in itself that, hey, people aren't going to have to park in a muddy parking lot like they would have had to do here on site with our, where our general admission parking lot is. But they'll be able to jump on that shuttle and just be dropped off basically here at our front door. I was going to add one thing. I got the opportunity last night too, if you don't mind me mentioning this. I got to go to the reception at the Southern League Negro League Museum last night and got to meet some of the players and stuff. And oh my God, so many great guys. And they're so. First of all, I want to mention CeCe Sabathia's name. CeCe is the one that brought this game basically to Birmingham. He loves Rickwood Field, and he got a good dose of it last year when he came here. And he wants to see things happen here in the area to not only support Rickwood Field, but getting younger minority kids involved in baseball. And I know they opened up the Willie Mays Little League ballpark today. MLB was, they're the ones that put that together. And I don't know if the opening ceremony got off because of the rain, but anyway, they're very invested. Not only CC, but the Major League Baseball. They're very invested in the Birmingham community to not only help Rickwood, but to help younger kids get involved in baseball, and we're excited about that.
I'm just glad that Conrad didn't freak out CC when we were sitting next to him at the event last year, and Conrad went all fanboy and started getting weird.
Well, you can imagine too, Lander. Last night I got to meet Gary Sheffield. Now Sheffield played for the Braves and the Yankees, and Molly may not. He even played for the Tigers after the Yankees, I believe.
He was a Brewer as well, wasn't he?
He was initially a Milwaukee Brewer. Oh, here's my trivia question of the day for you guys, because I know you love this. Who is he the nephew of? Do y'all remember that?
Oh gosh, yeah,
a very well-known name in baseball.
Oh man,
what era did
I can just hear it?
Did his uncle play in? Would that have been
in the 80s? Yeah, it started in the 80s, and there's not a whole lot of age difference. I think there's like 15 years age difference between them. I'll give you a clue that his uncle started pitching for the Mets right out of the gate.
Oh yes, it's Dagum Gooden.
Doc
Gooden.
Dwight Gooden. Yeah.
It took me a minute. Yeah.
Pretty neat. But anyway, Gary, we got to talk with him a lot last night. He deserves Hall of Fame consideration. He's like a 290 career average. He's got 509 home runs and 9-time All-Star player, and I think his time is coming. I would feel certain that that's not going to be. And by the way, the reason why I mentioned his name, he is scheduled to hit in the home run derby at age 56, and by shaking his hand and being around him, he's going to be able to launch him out. I guarantee you. Yeah, I challenged him, Pat and Landry, to hit one over the concrete wall behind our regular wall.
Man, if he does,
he was not aware of that, but he said, "Okay, all right, I'll check it out."
So I'm just curious, and I know you guys probably will have this conversation internally, and I'm talking about you and Gerald and Joe DeLeonard and the rest of the guys at Friends of Rickwood. How many players do you think will leave the old Rickwood field? I'm talking about the original wall in the very back of the stadium. How many balls do you think will leave Rickwood today during that home run derby?
I know a lot of the guys that are participating are not that far removed from baseball. I'm going to be anxious to see what Ryan Howard does. Of course, Ryan's a left-handed hitter, so he'll probably be hitting them over the right field grandstands. But I don't know. And of course, I haven't seen the complete lineup to know. I was talking with Jerry Hairston, if you remember the Hairston brothers that played.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Hairston brothers is going to participate, and he just wants to hit one. But so I don't know how many guys. I don't know. I know Adam Jones is supposed to participate, and Andrew Jones Landrum. You got to come out and see Andrew Landrum.
I got to hang out with him a few years ago, and he could not have been more down to earth and just nice.
Yeah.
He was just a great guy to talk to.
And Andrew and Gary Sheffield both have kids coming up the ranks that are legit. I mean, you'll probably.
I didn't know about Sheffield's son. I knew about Andrew's son.
Yeah. Sheffield's a little bit younger than Andrew Jones' son, but look for those names soon.
What's the tail of the tape again for the original fence there at Rickwood? Is it 470?
Well, so actually the original fence blew down in a tornado in 1928. And when they put up the concrete fence, that's when it extended the home run distance, obviously. But yeah, deep center field with the concrete fence, if you want to call it a fence, a wall, it was 484. Yeah, and you can imagine with the equipment they were using back in those days,
mm-hmm.
and instruction that maybe and there's nothing on record that we had. There is something that tells us somebody has hit them out in batting practice back in the day when it was being used, but we have one on record that actually hit the top of the concrete wall.
That was Walt Drapo, right? 467.
That's right.
Yep, 467.
That's right.
Yep.
Oh,
that's a poke right there.
Yeah, so we're excited. We're optimistic. I would say if you're listening and you're coming to the game, what I would do myself personally is bring a little towel with you, because I know the preparation, they're going to try to dry off everything that they can. But if it was me, I'm like, hey, I'm going to bring a towel and put it in my back pocket just to make sure that, if they skip my seat. And of course, everything's general admission, so you sit wherever you desire. There are a few spots that MLB and the Friends of Rick would have reserved. Some of the players' family members are here, and some of our board members and sponsors will be. But pretty much it's get here and take a seat wherever you desire.
That sounds good.
Pretty neat.
Well, Mike, listen, I know you're busy. If there's any other updates, let me or Conrad know, and happy to get the word out to as many people as we can. So, again, a reminder, gates are now open at 12:30. Shuttles will begin at that same time at Legion Field. The Home Run Derby will now start at 2. The game itself, which is a 5-inning game or 2 hours, whichever comes first, that will start at 3 o'clock.
Yes, that is correct.
All right. Mike, appreciate it very
Thanks,
much.
Mike.
And we'll hopefully we'll see you this afternoon.
Yeah, great. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
That's Mike Newton, Friends of Rickwood, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Oh, good news. Your chance to own that dream home at the lake, it's here. Coming up this Saturday, June the 21st, the grand opening of the cottages at Smith Lake. Located on one of America's cleanest, most pristine lakes, the cottages at Smith Lake is the area's first and only tiny home community. Over 120 home sites to choose from, each with beautiful lake views. Your choice of a custom cottage from 6 unique models. The Cottages at Smith, beautifully planned community, amenities like gated access, boat ramp, community dock, saltwater swimming pool, lakefront picnic area, walking trails. It's all walkable and golf cart friendly. Don't miss your chance for the perfect lake cottage. The grand opening this Saturday, June the 21st, presented by Joseph Carter Realty. Come out, enjoy catered food, live music, and golf cart tours of the home site. That's opening day at the Cottages at Smith Lake this Saturday, June the 21st. Reserve your spot now. For more information, call 256-747-7459. That's 256-747-7459, or go to thecottagesatsmith.com, thecottagesatsmith.com.
One of Alabama's greatest football players called it quits today. We'll tell you who and why next. 3-Man Front. Coming up at the top of the hour, we will talk to Rodney Orr, his weekly spot on the program from Tider Insider. A lot of things happening with the Alabama Crimson Tide when it comes to recruiting, including their brand new commitment, a 4-star quarterback out of Omaha, Nebraska. We'll get the 411 on him. Speaking of Bama football, former Bama linebacker C.J. Mosley, he has announced his retirement this morning. 5-time All-Pro linebacker, former Ravens and Jets captain, posted over 1,000 tackles in 11 NFL seasons. At Alabama, Mosley won the Butkus Award, SEC Defensive Player of the Year, and back-to-back national champions in 2011 and 2012. He earned $98.9 million in the National Football League.
Just in salary.
Just in salary.
Pretty good.
He's going to be just fine.
It's going to be irritated he did not get to that $100 million.
I
mark.
know.
He needed to sign a deal somewhere for $1.1 million.
Stick out one more year.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
Yes.
I would think so.
5-time All-Pro linebacker. I mean, when he was with the Ravens, I know he finished up with the it was the Bills, right? Didn't he finish his career with the Bills?
I think so. He was with the Jets for a long, long time, though. And I mean, granted, the Jets weren't particularly great during his time there, but he was one of the very best defensive players in the league.
Was he out of Theodore High School?
Yes.
He was?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Freshman All-American. Played.
Yep.
One of those guys that was, oh, well, if you go to Alabama, you're not going to play until you're a junior. Well, he played all 13 games as a true freshman.
Yeah.
He was good.
He was something
good.
else.
Yes, he was.
Very
Good for
much
C.J.
so.
Mosley.
Yep.
Enjoy retirement.
And that's big because no matter what sport you play, you get, so many years under your belt, the pension fund kicks in. So whether you invested your money wisely or not with your salaries, the pension is really big in regards to getting your service time in.
Well, just to put it in perspective, and the contracts are different, and I realize inflation, that much money, how it translates. But just to give you an idea, just from knowing personally, being friends with players that were drafted, and one in particular was drafted in the first round, and this would have been back in the 90s, but looked at his rookie contract and then look at the second contract that he did. And it pales in comparison to the amount of money that you just reeled off that C.J. Mosley has made. But it puts in perspective, if you're responsible with your money, how you invest it, you do it conservatively, you still really don't have to do anything if you choose not to and have everything paid for the rest of your life.
So who's going to be the next C.J. Mosley? Is Alabama in the market for the next C.J. Mosley? Well, they're trying. We'll talk to Rodney Orr from Tider Insider next on the program. We'll get his thoughts on the brand new 4-star quarterback from Omaha, Nebraska, who decommitted from Iowa State. He is now heading to Tuscaloosa, and many other musings going on in the world of recruiting. This is 3-Man Front on Jox, Pat, Landrum, Molly, Conrad. We're with you until 2 o'clock here on Jox. Welcome back. It's hour 2, 3-man front on Jox. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Appreciate Mike Newton, the friends in Rickwood, joining us at 10:30. An update on the weather situation in Birmingham for the East-West Baseball Classic, Major League Baseball All-Star Game being held at Rickwood Field. The gates are now going to open at 12:30. Shuttles are going to begin at Legion Field at the same time. The Home Run Derby will be at 2 o'clock, and the game is at 3 o'clock. Hopefully all this will be out of here, and we'll be able to play some baseball at Rickwood Field.
Roaches, ants, spiders, yeah, they serve a purpose somewhere, but not inside of your home, and for most, not in your yard, where you want to spend a lot of your time, especially this time of year with your family and friends. That's why our friends at Stark Exterminators want to advise you that if you don't have someone that's taking care of your home or your place of business, or you're not satisfied with the job that they're doing, call them today for the free home or business pest inspection. Stark has been family-owned for over 61 years. We use them. They're great. They're professional, and 100% of your satisfaction as a customer is absolutely guaranteed. They're going to use the most environmentally conscious methods available. They're going to take care of you. Just good folks. One of their professional team members will come out to your house or your place of business, inspect it thoroughly inside and out, address any current issues and any that may arise down the road. Stark Exterminators. Call today for the free home or business pest inspection, 855-STARK-NOW, or go to starkexterminators.com. And when you do so, make sure you tell them Landrum from Jox and 3-Man Front sent you.
Joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline from Tider Insider, Rodney Orr joins us. Rodney, I hope you're doing well on this Thursday. I want to get your immediate take on Jet Tamala, the brand new quarterback commitment who decommitted from Iowa State, heading now to Tuscaloosa.
Yeah, no, I thought quarterback was really something that would be interesting to watch in this class, coming on the heels of Keelan Russell, but perhaps the number one player last year, certainly one of the top rated players in quarterbacks. And, sometimes it's difficult to get a player at that position, the follow-up, the next year. But I think obviously, Jet Tamala looks like he's got all the tools. I mean, he's got great height. He's got a really strong arm. He led his team to that school to the first state championship they've had in 15 years last year, 47 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. I think over the last couple of years, he's thrown 79 TDs and just 12 interceptions. So completed nearly 70% of his passes. And again, I was joking with Conrad before we came on that I know there's a lot of people saying that, Nebraska high school football is not Alabama high school football, or not Georgia, or not Louisiana or Texas or whatever. And that's true. That's true. But I think when you look at the evaluators, the people who have kind of were recruiting him, their track record, Matt Campbell's done a great job at Iowa State with quarterbacks and the evaluations, and certainly DeBoer and Grubb and Sheridan here at Alabama in their past. So, no, he looks like a really good prospect.
Rodney, in all of your years of doing this, and what you just said about the state of Nebraska, we discussed it the other day when he made his commitment public. But is this a guy that's kind of flown under the radar? Was he a late bloomer? Describe what you know about Jet Tamala and his recruitment and how he ended up on the board at Alabama.
Yeah, here's the thing. You never really know why a guy, maybe it's because, Nebraska, maybe didn't get a lot of publicity going into his junior year. But I think obviously college coaches started in their evaluations and saying, looks like this guy's got some tools. I know that Nick Sheridan, spotted him, went up there, visited him, and, they kind of hit it off, watched him throw, and that type of thing. And I think obviously it developed from there. Very similar, I think, maybe to with Keelan Russell last year from the standpoint, he really was not very highly kind of touted or rated. He was a 3-star player committed to SMU, and, Alabama spotted him. I think Jarrett McElwain on the internal recruiting department there spotted him on film and suggested taking a strong look at him. And Alabama, went over and checked him out and really liked him, and he kind of blew up. Maybe the same thing with Tamala to some extent, just jumping in there and spotting him and saying we really like the tools that he has. So again, I think it's a big pickup at quarterback, because let's be honest, they have 3 guys here now And there's a chance, the reality is there's a chance that you may only have one of those three left in a year. So I think not only do you sign one quarterback this year, if I'm looking at it, I've got to give serious consideration to signing two.
Rodney Orr joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline from Tider Insider talking Alabama recruiting. Let's kind of recap a few of the big names that was in Tuscaloosa over the weekend, and if you've got an update on any of them or just your thoughts on the chance of them ending up in Tuscaloosa. Let's start with Brandon Arrington. He's the five-star corner athlete from Brandon Arrington of Spring Valley High School out in California. He's a big one. He's like I said, a five-star corner athlete. Where does Alabama fit into the mix with him?
You know, we said right after the visit that we said going in that they had ground to make up on Oregon and Texas A&M. And then this visit, he had a really good visit, but was it enough? And now he has pretty much eliminated Alabama. He's supposed to make that. I don't know exactly what day he's going to announce, but it's either Oregon or Texas A&M. You know, the vibe 24 hours or so ago was Texas A&M there, but Alabama's out of the mix, it appears.
Rodney, who are some other prospects, maybe guys on Kalen DeBoer and Alabama staff's radar that could be coming up here in the coming months, or we should keep an eye on that maybe are currently committed to other programs?
Yeah, well, you know, we'll go back to last weekend and some guys to watch. Roman Voss is a tight end. He plays quarterback in high school and plays some defense. He's about 6'4", 220. He's projected as you know, one of those H-back receiving type tight ends. He's the number one player in Minnesota. He's going to make it a decision, I think, relatively soon. Alabama, Minnesota. It's kind of like we said on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday night. You know, it's really just going to come down to, do you want to go to Alabama, play in the SEC, play for one of the elite programs of all time, or you know, do you want to stay home, which they have a good solid program there at Minnesota, be the hero there. You know, we'll see what happens with Roman Voss. Nick Abrams is a tight end from, a linebacker from Owings Mills, Maryland, who's, again, we said the same thing that we said about Brandon Arrington. We said the same thing about Nick Abrams is you're behind Georgia and Michigan coming in. Can you make up the ground? And we talked to Nick Abrams earlier this week, and it sounded he said all the right things. You know, we'll see. Alabama seems to be, you know, certainly in the mix, but Georgia and Michigan were kind of the teams to watch. Of course, you know, there are going to be some guys, you know, announcing. Obviously, some are visiting this weekend. So Darian Morgan's supposed to announce, I think it's July the 5th. He's a five-star wide receiver out of Benjamin Russell. He's a guy that I think Alabama's in good position with. You know, Auburn's certainly in there. Florida had a great visit there. I think he's one of the key recruits on Alabama's board right now. I think he's, if you want to say a must-get, I think in the state, five-star wide receiver, he fits that category. E.J. Crowell, kind of the same thing, five-star running back from Jackson, Alabama. I know he visited Texas a couple of weeks ago, but feel good about Alabama. He's supposed to announce on the 26th. Now, again, he'll be here this weekend. So those are two big names, you know, in the state. Max Suter is a tight end coming in this weekend from Dunlap, Illinois. He's another guy that I think is really important, at least in my opinion. He's a good-looking tight end prospect. Malachi Lee is an offensive lineman from Honolulu that was in a few weeks ago. Alabama's been in there very strongly. Georgia, Michigan. It's going to be a real contested battle. I think he announces on the 27th. You know, those are some of the names that are coming up. I mean, obviously there are a lot more that are in the mix, but those are a few.
It's very interesting because when Nick Saban got to Alabama, Alabama became more of a recruiter nationwide as opposed to just in your own backyard. And you just railed off. Bama got a commitment from the best player in the state of Nebraska, according to the services, the quarterback in Tamala. You just mentioned the number one player in Minnesota is considering Alabama. You said that there's a player from Illinois and Hawaii, and also at TiderInsider.com, you guys list a defensive lineman, Titan Davis from St. Louis, Missouri, that is strongly looking at Alabama. So Courtney Morgan and the rest of the Alabama recruiting staff, those tentacles are still going very wide across the country.
Definitely. And while you mentioned defensive line, obviously Titan Davis from St. Louis, I think Alabama's in great position with him. That is a real position to watch. I think this is a key year for defensive line recruiting for Alabama. Titan Davis is certainly one of those guys out at St. Louis. It's Alabama, Michigan. I think he's got this Michigan visit coming up. That's going to be really important. I think you look at Elijah Golden out of Sarasota, who was in last weekend. Had a great visit. This visit to Notre Dame this weekend is going to be really big for him. Oklahoma's been in there as well, but a lot of people think it's going to come down to Alabama and Notre Dame. Nolan Wilson out of Pecune, Mississippi is another defensive lineman to keep an eye on. It's a really important recruit. He was at Ole Miss last weekend. Talked to people over there, and they said, we have no idea what he's going to do right now. He's not tipping his hand, but I do think Alabama's in position there. Pretty good position. Now, Auburn has been in that too. So there'll be certainly a team to watch. And J.J. Finch out of Indianapolis, this guy LSU's recruited hard, Tennessee, a lot of teams in there. Alabama, he's visited here. So he's another guy. I think out of those four defensive linemen, they really need to land at least two in this class. I think it's really important.
Rodney, C.J. Mosley, former Alabama linebacker, calls it a career in the NFL today. What can you tell us about what you remember a young C.J. Mosley as a prospect out of the Mobile area and what he meant? Did you ever think that this guy was destined for the kind of career that he had, which was incredible?
Well, I think, the thing about CJ that I go back to is his former coach back then telling me that just how much leadership he had. He was extremely mature for his youthful age, and he was extraordinarily athletic. And not only that, it just his intelligence too. And I say that to say he was football smart too. He grasped things very quickly. And you did not see many true freshmen inside backers that could come in, grab things as quickly as he did in Nick Saban's system and make a strong contribution. I remember in 2010, I think he had a big interception against Florida, might have returned it for a touchdown. It's, kind of vague right now, but it's just to see a true freshman that was, as good as he was, as quickly as he was pretty amazing. So, he was obviously a great player here and had a tremendous NFL career.
Made a lot of money too, close to $100 million.
He sure did.
In 11 years. So nowadays, these recruits coming into the SEC, that would be a pay cut, right? I mean, based on what they're now going to be getting in regards to NIL. So some great stuff. You can follow all the recruiting information, the very latest from Alabama, Rodney Orr, TiderInsider.com. Rodney, always appreciate your time and insight. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Take care.
Thanks. That's Rodney Orr joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services. All this rain in Birmingham, that could lead to some flooding and issues in your home. That's why you need to call APS and make sure that your crawl space has been encapsulated properly. And if it hasn't, or if you don't know if it's been, they can take care of that for you because it can stop the water from getting in your house. It can keep the pests out while lowering your energy costs all at the same time. The engineers at APS, they can come out to your house, give you a free assessment of what's going on, and give you a plan moving forward. 205-951-9717, or go to their website, alabamaprofessional.com.
We continue this rainy, hopefully the rain will be out of here, Thursday edition, three-man front on Jox.
Great conversation with Rodney Orr, Tighter Insider. If you missed that conversation, you can go back and listen to it in its entirety. Download the 3-Man Front podcast at joxfm.com or wherever you get your podcast. You about to sneeze? Yeah. Turn that way. Don't sneeze on me.
Do it. Do it.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I think I lost it.
Okay.
If you look into the lights, it helps you not sneeze.
Is that true?
Works for me.
Sunshine makes me sneeze.
I think I'm good. Sorry, guys.
So I haven't sneezed in
I've
like
been so
the last 2 months.
Sniffly.
So you'd never sneeze if you lived in Seattle.
That's right.
Ever.
I'm good, guys. Well, something else that I love, I like when I
Are
don't
you
have
gonna be
to
able to
sneeze.
get through this
Yes,
without
I will.
sneezing?
No, I think I'll be okay.
Okay.
To distract me from my sneezes, let me tell you about Diamonds Direct because they are not your typical jewelry store. It is a full-on experience. The second that you walk in, you're buzzed right through the front door like a VIP. They're expecting you, and they greet you with champagne, or if you want water, they can get you that as well. And they have this warm, personal energy about them. And there's even a selfie wall right next to the entrance. So after you do make a purchase, you can take a picture with your brand new piece. I went in recently, and honestly, I was blown away. The space is sleek and everything sparkles, and the team actually listens. I was able to tell diamond expert Sasha everything that I was wanting, and she was able to keep in mind not just my budget, but my whole style as well. So go by and check out our friends at Diamonds Direct.
So we've been having a lot of news stories in North American sports franchises are now being sold. So we found out yesterday that the Tampa Bay Rays are looking to be sold for a pretty good penny. And a lot of people are welcoming that because the ownership group in Tampa has been, let's just be honest, been very weak and can't get a stadium, and it's a big mess. Well, one of the big boys when it comes to the North American franchises, the Los Angeles Lakers, it was announced yesterday that Mark Walters is going to purchase the Lakers for $10 billion. Now, a few months ago, the Boston Celtics came up for sale, and it was going to be $6 billion, which was going to be the largest purchase ever of an American franchise. So now Mark Walters is buying the Lakers from Jenny Buss because her father, Dr. Jerry Buss, bought the team back in 1979 along with the NHL's Kings and the Forum. Remember the old Inglewood Forum that the Lakers played in? He bought all of that. Keep that in mind. The Lakers, the Kings, and the arena they played in for $67 million.
Great investment.
Unbelievable. So if you look back at the $67 million price tag in 1979 and the Buss family now getting $10 billion for the Lakers, that is 149 times his original investment.
Yeah.
It's remarkable.
That is called America.
America.
Capitalism at its very best. 149 times his original purchase price.
And I was looking at the background of this Walter guy. I was not really familiar with him, but I'm sure a lot of our financial people and people who keep up with it, they are. Co-founder, CEO of Guggenheim Partners.
He's one of the owners of the Dodgers.
I was about to say, we're all familiar with him because he is Mr. Moneybags for the Dodgers.
Well, but how about this? So Forbes, they had an evaluation of his net worth at $6.1 billion, and then you had $12.4 billion according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index. But for $10 billion, I guess if you got a lot of money, you could explain. But
yeah, I saw that his company, I think their total assets is
$300 billion.
North of 300. It's like 325.
Yeah.
Yeah, a quarter or a third of $1 trillion.
So I don't know how much you're personally staking versus how much you're putting with your company. But
hey, if you have the means to do it.
It's showtime for the Walters family.
Yeah, something tells me that we're about to see the Lakers undergo a Steve Cohen type change.
First thing you got to do, you got to get rid of LeBron.
Oh, you have to get rid of him?
Yeah.
Well, no Kings, right?
Well, here's the amazing thing about this. So back in 1979, as I mentioned, the fact that Dr. Jerry Buss bought the arena that they played in, this does not include Crypto.com arena that the Lakers play in. This is just for the franchise itself. Now, the Lakers are with all the other NBA media deals that they have, the Lakers have a huge local media deal. And so this is going to pay off big time. This is a great investment.
Yeah.
You think about other great investments, the Steinbrenner family in the early 70s.
Jerry Jones.
Yeah. When Steinbrenner bought the Yankees, I think he bought them for like
It was like $30 million.
No, it was less than that.
It was less than that?
Yeah. It was.
And they're worth over $8 billion now?
Yeah.
What was the question you asked on Pat Ponders one day? It was was it the following worldwide, the Instagram followers or something?
Mm-hmm.
And the Lakers were there on top.
Lakers were number one. That just gives you so many outlets to go to advertisers and say, hey, be a partner with the Lakers.
Look how many impressions we get worldwide.
And we can push this out. So.
Yeah, and they can pay someone to clean the graffiti off of LeBron's house now.
I was reading some quotes from some of the players saying that they were all about this sell.
Yeah, saw Luka put out a nice statement about it.
Mm-hmm. $10 billion. And we thought the Boston Celtics deal was $6.1 billion.
Elon and Bezos are like $10 billion, whatever.
It's crazy. I mean, the only one that'll top this is whenever, inevitably, if the Cowboys do get sold. I think that'd be the only one that would top this right now.
Think the Jones family ultimately one day will give up?
No, I don't. You have to pry it from Jerry's dead hands. Or his great-great-grandchild's dead hands, probably.
Yeah. I could see that one going generation.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not? Just hold on to it.
Yeah, like, it's pretty cool.
I mean, I know the new would wear off, but still to be able to say,
you own the
yeah
most iconic North American sports franchise. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
A lot of great jokes on social media yesterday. I saw some pictures of Shedeur Sanders wearing a University of Georgia jersey yesterday.
I saw one that said we always knew he would go 101 like in the draft. It's pretty good.
He was pulled over Tuesday morning for allegedly driving more than 100 miles per hour on a Cleveland area highway.
Well, you can't really do that in Boulder. There's a lot of twists and turns and mountainous terrain.
That's right.
Not a lot of straightaways.
Not a lot of straightaways. He probably felt like he was on the Autobahn.
Sanders, according to Fox 8 in Cleveland, was pulled over on 71 North around 12:24 a.m. on Tuesday by police. He was cited for driving 101 miles per hour.
He was just trying to be the first guy at the facility.
Which was 41 miles per hour over the posted speed limit.
That's going to get you a reckless.
Further specifics of the incident are not known. Sanders can simply pay the fine for the ticket should he choose if he does not want to go to court and fight it.
Does it say what he was driving?
In this story that I'm seeing, it does not.
I'm just curious because you remember we had that video we talked about a couple weeks ago of him having like a Rolls Royce delivered to him, and he's, oh no, I didn't do that. I'm here at practice. So it'd just be interesting to see what kind of car that he got pulled over in.
Yeah, I have not seen the details of what he was driving. But like Landrum, isn't 25 miles an hour over the speed limit reckless driving?
I believe it is.
Be a nice little heavy fine there.
Well, at least he wasn't under the influence. That's good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Telling you, he just wanted to get there early.
I like that theory.
Yeah. He's a hard worker. And in all seriousness, I mean, a lot of the things you've heard out of Brown's camp have been very positive about him, so it's unfortunate. And, we'll see how they handle it.
It was not the Rolls Royce. It was a black Dodge TRX truck.
Driving a truck.
Very conservative.
Maybe he was going out to do volunteer work with his...
At 12:24 a.m.?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Best time to do it. Beat the heat of the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Autograph seekers, you don't have to worry about that. You just get in and do the Lord's work.
Well, and you're in a truck, so no one's going to think, oh, that's Shedeur, right? They're looking for the sports
Very
car,
unassuming.
So absolutely.
That's probably why he had the truck. He was hauling all that trash away. He's just probably cleaning out the community.
I'm sure he was doing something great.
And
there's so many great things to do at 12:24 in the morning.
Have we got an update on Deion and his whole health status?
Last time I saw, he had posted something, said he was good to go.
Mm-hmm.
That he'd be back in Boulder very soon. And
Blood pressure might be a little high today.
Yeah. At least he's okay. He can learn from it.
Well, you know what? Shador needs to come down to Poorhouse Branch Marina if he's looking for a pontoon boat. Because if you're looking for a pontoon boat, you need to head out to Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake because it's the only dealer on the lake to have Avalon pontoons. Avalon pontoons are known for luxury, comfort, and performance. And pair it with the most fuel-efficient engine on the water from Honda Marine. Poorhouse Branch Marina at Smith Lake also has Tahoe pontoons ready for family fun. Get it today with the in-house financing. See it all at PoorhouseBranchMarina.com.
Text line is open 205-834-9450, and we take you there now. Mike in Huntsville asking the question that only Molly Robinson would be able to answer on this show. Is weed legal in Nebraska?
I don't think so. Why?
I don't know. What were we talking about earlier in the show?
How you can't get in trouble in Nebraska or in Omaha.
Can you find out if weed is legal or is it medically
It is
okay?
Medicinal is legal, but recreational is not.
Okay.
That was what I thought. I'm glad you fact checked me because I didn't know.
Text coming in. Let's go Coastal. I said Coastal.
The Chanticleers.
The Shanties. They'll take on LSU in the College World Series finals after LSU broke the heart of Arkansas fans like Ty Richardson.
I would be getting to stick around and play that real posh
Lost
country
Rail?
club. Yeah.
I do too.
Get something good out of the trip.
That's right. And Richard says the LA Lakers are being sold for $10 billion, but I never consume their product, so it's very difficult to comprehend their value.
Well, a lot of other people consume that product. I got my nice Lakers pins on my desk that Molly's parents very kindly got for me.
I loved the Lakers growing up. And, of course, the nemesis was the Boston Celtics.
Mm-hmm. Well, now you just hate LeBron, so.
Don't hate him. Don't care for him. But don't hate him. And to be fair, the silly debate, because it is silly, about the GOAT, that draws the ire for me.
All right, so we're standing on the edge of a cliff. LeBron James and Kevin Harlan are both hanging off the edge of the cliff. You can only save one. Who do you save?
I feel like Kevin Harlan offers more to society.
Wow.
An honest answer, and I appreciate that.
I'd try to save them both.
I know.
Your texts are welcome. Calls at 1-800-239-WJOX. Rob Pate later this hour. This is Jox. This is Three Man Front. 11:35. The text line is open at 205-834-9450. Brought to you by Courtesy GMC. 1-800-239-WJOX. A reminder, the East-West All-Star Classic, celebration of the Negro Leagues at Rickwood Field. The weather this morning has pushed the festivities back. We were originally supposed to be broadcasting from there, but the heavy storms yesterday and then this morning changed our plans, so we had to audibilize and come in studio. But the gates are going to open up at 12:30. The shuttles are going to begin at the same time at Legion Field. It's going to bring you right in front of Rickwood Field. It's perfect, as you experienced last year if you went to any of the games during the Rickwood Classic. Then the Home Run Derby will start at 2. Then the 5-inning game or 2-hour time limit will begin at 3 o'clock with all the All-Stars. Over 30 former Major League Baseball players will be playing in this, obviously, the second rendition of this game since it came back. It was originally played with the Negro Leagues back in 1933. First ever at Comiskey Park. Last year they brought it back at Doubleday Field. That's where the old Hall of Fame baseball game used to be played every year there in Cooperstown, New York. And this year it's at Rickwood Field. So hopefully the weather will clear up and we'll be good to go.
Text coming in on the text line. They continue to come in, 205-834-9450. We love the interaction. Conrad's impromptu question, which should have been a poll question, about if LeBron and Kevin Harlan were on the edge of a cliff, who would I save? A lot of you are chiming in. Wild Bill says definitely Kevin. Thank you, Wild Bill.
Something tells me I might be the only one that would.
For the record, I
said
that when it came down to it, both, but I did choose Kevin Harlan first because of what he offers to society.
Which is what?
Those golden pipes. Painting a picture. Should I go on? He doesn't complain a lot, I can tell you that.
Fair.
Not publicly.
Fair.
His wife might say, oh, wait. No, Kevin, he is a complainer. This one rolls in and says, Larry Bird and Kareem Wilt, they were all better than LeBron Conrad. And if he played in the late 80s, he would be lucky to be top 5 because we don't think he could handle the physicality of the NBA back then on every play. Thank you. Appreciate that.
But I could say the exact same thing about all those guys, and if they played today, it wouldn't be this.
Okay.
It goes back. It goes both ways. It's fine.
Uncle Jerry from Hayden chiming in. I love how that's caught. Man, I wish it would rain. It hasn't rained in 15 minutes. LOL. RTR, the number 4, life, football emoji. And Auburn, LSU, and Tennessee all sook. Thank you very much.
He just added that in there at the end.
Yeah, he did. Let's not forget that Zach Edey has also been charged with reckless driving. He was going 101 miles per hour.
Yep. Yeah, I thought that was weird because I saw both of those stories came out around the same time, and it's, okay, someone just taking one of these and making a joke about the other, but yeah.
Zach Edey was actually in the back seat when he was driving.
Because his legs are so long?
Yeah. Mike in Huntsville, I would definitely save Kevin. See what you started.
I didn't know this was going to become
I tried
a thing.
to diffuse it. Jason says, what's the name of the instrumental during the text reading? Because I need to change my ringtone from Pat's strike 3 umpiring call.
That was a good one.
It's called Around the World.
Around the World?
Perfect timing.
Yeah, there you go.
Corey asking the question, what's the rumor about East Carolina joining the Sun Belt Conference? I've seen these reports as well.
Yep.
Now, from what I saw, Corey, East Carolina, someone said that they are taking a wait-and-see approach, waiting to see if Memphis was to bolt for potentially the newly formed or newly forming Pac-12. If they were to bolt, then they would have to evaluate. Louisiana Tech, of course, they have reached out to the Sun Belt, but nothing as of yet. Pat, anything to offer on that? Not saying that you have intel on East Carolina and their interests, but it seems like the whole Memphis to the Pac-12 is kind of faded quickly. Unless there's some kind of offer that we don't know about that would really entice them to do it.
Yeah, the other thing is that, the AAC, you're going to make more money by just being a member of that conference than you are being a member of the Sun Belt Conference in the hierarchy of the way the monies are distributed in the media deals. So unless you would have to spend way less money on travel expenses,
right,
to be a part of the Sun Belt as opposed to being part of the American Athletic Conference, but
My guess in interpreting what they said about the wait and see approach, if Memphis were to leave, that is evaluating what the media rights deal would look like. Would it be substantially less and their piece of the pie in turn be less if that happened?
Well, and wasn't there, I guess, an option on the table we talked about earlier in the week of Memphis joining the Pac-12 as just a football program, and then for the other sports they would be part of the Big East?
Correct.
Isn't that another thing that they're maybe considering?
And like, for instance, I do know this, that Memphis made $11 million off of the AAC last year, whereas Wichita State, which is only a basketball member, they made $3 million in the AAC, just being a basketball only member. I think the Big East probably would pay Memphis a whole heck of a lot more.
Yeah.
Probably double, maybe even triple what Wichita State's making in the AAC just for basketball.
So you might be making close to the $11 million you got from the AAC this year just for basketball in the Big East.
Correct.
I wonder if Coastal's portion is going to be a little bit bigger now with the Sun Belt.
Hey, I mean, next time we talk about SEC expansion, let's bring Coastal in, at least for baseball. I mean, right?
Yeah. Cool uniforms. Conway, South Carolina.
Grayson McCall almost came to the SEC.
That's right.
We have these connections.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for it.
Oh, Cliff Ellis, coach at Auburn.
Yeah.
Basketball coach there at Coastal.
Great point.
Yeah, and I also know that not that East Carolina has been knocking on the door to making the NCAA basketball tournament, but I know the AAC, they give bonuses for conference teams that make the NCAA basketball tournament. Outside of what the NCAA already gives you anyway, it's another incentive for the conference.
Well, it seems like Coastal, though, if you knock off LSU and Omaha for a College World Series, pony up some money. Raise a glass to the winners, as Brian Harsin would say. Wonder how he's doing today.
Oh, I'm sure he's trying to find him a roster. They're at California since everybody left.
And an athletic director.
Mm-hmm. He's gone. He's got Ron.
I just love that. I mean, it's just been such a disaster since he got there.
So basically, Brian Harsin is the Nick Castellanos of college football.
There we go.
Yes.
Did you see what happened to Nick Castellanos the other night?
I did.
He got his butt benched.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, Thompson ain't playing around.
You
mouthed off to me in the dugout?
Yep.
You're going to sit.
What do you think he said? I bet he didn't call him a name. Or maybe just said something to the effect of, you're blankety blank.
And there's a deep drive to left off the bat of Castellanos.
Yeah. Phillies are rolling right now. They're fine.
They're a game and a half out since your Braves keep beating up on the Mets.
Man, hopefully that continues today. How sweet would that be? Sweep the Mets. I want to see that Mets fan that puts out the Instagrams where he's crying and he's just.
Oh, Frank?
Yeah.
Big guy?
The big guy.
Yeah, Frank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, after the first loss the other night, he basically said the Mets season was over. They're in first place.
Yeah.
They're in first place and they lose one game, and then all of a sudden the season's over.
Oh, you should have seen the grin this guy had on his face when we were playing the Braves highlights earlier. He can't.
That's
contain it.
Conrad. You could on two hands. I wouldn't even fill up both hands, all 10 fingers with the number of times that I've done that this season. That's old Pat. Last night's game, the first night's game versus the Mets, and the game that me and my wife attended, the 5-0 shutout that Swelly pitched so well on his birthday against Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the 3 games I remember.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you.
That were nice.
We were trying to collect the 5 best Braves games this year, and you've now gotten a third. Maybe a fourth.
Let's get the sweep, man. Strider today.
20-10 every month, right?
20-10 every month.
That's the formula.
So now we just have to go, 18-10 now?
Mm-hmm.
Since we started keeping up with this.
I don't think you have 28 games left in the month of June.
Well, no, but
I know.
We're creating our own time frames here, Conrad.
We'll talk to Rob Pate. Joins
He's smart,
us
isn't
next. He's very smart. Next on Three Man Front. We're at 32 days away from SEC football media days in Atlanta, Georgia. 65 days away from the start of the college football season, which starts on August 23rd.
Have you decided what you're going to wear?
Week 0 on August 23rd or in Atlanta?
In Atlanta.
Oh, I'm wearing a coat and tie every day.
Coat and tie?
Yes.
You going bolo for our Texas friends?
Yeah, I'm trying to decide what I'm going to wear to the hookah lounge.
Ooh. Do you have a robe?
I do.
Wear your robe.
Well, it's more as a smoking jacket. It's not a robe.
It's got the leather. What would they call that? They're on the front of the jacket.
It's kind of a velour smoking jacket.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What color?
Oh, it's burgundy.
Yeah.
I figured we'd, wear that going to the hookah lounge.
Do they have food at the hookah lounge that we're going to that Conrad's taking us
light
to?
Snacks.
Like light snacks?
Yeah, light snacks. Just like going to a sports bar, chips, salsa, nuts.
Keep those away from him.
Yeah, he's allergic to nuts.
As much as he wants to eat them.
Yeah.
They're not good for him.
He talks about all the time how he'd love to nibble on some nuts, but.
Yeah. His mom told us that would require a medical emergency.
Yeah.
He can smell. He can be around the nuts.
Right.
But he cannot consume them.
Yes. He cannot put the nuts in his mouth. If they go in his mouth, then it's a problem.
When's the last time?
Well, they can't. I just can't swallow.
Yeah. When's the last time you did that? Accidentally? Was it?
What, swallowed or ate the nuts?
When's the last time you consumed nuts?
I had a Snickers bar when I was in college, and it did not go well.
Were you in your right mind?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to try one.
Okay.
You just wanted to see the reaction.
Well, and there's certain things, like I've always wanted to have a Reese's cup. Like, because everyone acts like that's the best candy ever made, and I've never gotten to eat one. And so I've never had one because I tried a Snickers, and...
Did you swell up?
My throat did.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Very uncomfortable, hard to breathe.
Did you have someone there to...
No, well, we were in college, so no, unfortunately.
What happens there? Do we take a pen? We stab you in the heart? What do we do?
Like a ballpoint pen?
No. Like a, what do they call them?
The
EpiPens?
Oh, yeah. I think you do.
So is it like Pulp Fiction with the adrenaline shot? We just stab you in the heart.
I think they said you do it in the thigh when I was a kid. From what I remember of them teaching you, like, if you're ever in an emergency, this is how you do it. I think you're supposed to do it in the leg.
What if me and Pat would prefer to do it in the heart? Would that be okay? Do we have to break your ribs first?
Sure, if you want to.
Molly, go get the nuts.
It looked very painful in Pulp Fiction.
Yes, it did. That's
Also,
a movie that Molly has not seen.
I don't know if peanuts and cocaine have similar reactions, though. I haven't tested it, though, so I don't know.
That's what you were doing when you ate the Snickers bar?
No. No. Talking about the movie.
Oh. 205-834-9450 on the Jox text line. Uncle Jerry chiming in once again from Hayden and saying he would, oh, come on, Uncle Jerry. He would actually push LeBron off of the cliff. Jordan is the GOAT with a GOAT emoji. John says Kevin Harlan weighs less than LeBron. Easier to save.
I did not think so many people would have an opinion on this. I guess I can't be that surprised.
And if LeBron's arms are fully extended, that would be more of a distance for you to pull him up. But also, would it be? No, it'd be shorter.
I don't know. Yeah. Also, LeBron should be strong enough to pull himself up, right?
Jason says LeBron James on that cliff would have too many officials around him, and he would flop.
Well, that would make it easy then. You just save Kevin.
Question for the group. More likely to get bowl eligible, Kentucky or Mississippi State?
I go Kentucky. If you're making me choose one of the two.
I'd go Kentucky.
You never know. Calzada might be the next Jared Lorenzen.
I keep forgetting he's at Kentucky.
Well, you wouldn't recognize him.
No. What's their over-under win total? Mississippi State's is 2.5, right?
Kentucky's is what, 3.5 or 4.5? Let's see. 4.5.
Kentucky will give them a win over Toledo, give them a win over Eastern Michigan. Tennessee Tech. And maybe a coin flip game at Vandy. Yeah, that's tough. Ooh.
So we going under the win total for Kentucky?
What is it again?
4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go under.
4-8 seems about right for them.
Yeah.
3-9 for Mississippi State, maybe.
To me, Mississippi State, and I know it was a terrible season, but to me, they were more impressive last year than Kentucky. With the exception of the game in Oxford, Pat. Sorry.
Yeah, Mississippi State put up a good fight in a few games.
Yeah, keep the text coming in. LeBron, Kevin Harlan, all of it. 205-834-9450 there on the Jox text line. Back to Shedeur Sanders getting pulled over. Coach reminding me that nothing good happens after midnight except community work.
Which he may have been doing.
Could have.
Are we going to do the chip today?
This has become his daily question.
Yeah.
I like how it's weighing on his mind.
I didn't ask
It
yesterday.
is. I mean, he's not going to be here tomorrow. Or we could make him stick around and do it tomorrow.
Please don't make me. Please don't.
Then you can have the rest of the day to recuperate.
I don't think you have the necessary things that you're going to need for this chip.
All I need is
Well, Molly said there's milk down in the...
Yeah, there's some in the shop.
we'll find some gloves. I'll be good to go.
Have you
See, it
checked the
sounds like he
expiration
wants
date?
to do it.
Oh, he wants to get it over with.
I wanted to do it the day y'all showed it to me.
Continue with that smart mouth, and it might break out here in the next 2 hours.
Yep. This would be the day to do it.
We're halfway home, 3-man front on Jox. It is 12 noon. We're 30 minutes away from the gates opening up at Rickwood Field. The rain this morning pushed the festivities back. Gates are going to open at 12:30. The shuttles begin at 12:30 there at Legion Field. The Home Run Derby at 2 o'clock. 3 o'clock will be the game, the East-West Classic All-Star Game in celebration of the Negro Baseball Leagues. That will be taking place this afternoon at Rickwood Field, so hopefully the weather will cooperate. Has not cooperated very much over the last few weeks, but hopefully this morning's rain showers will be out of here and we'll be able to play some baseball a little bit later. Speaking of baseball, last night on the LSU radio network, this is the way it sounded as the LSU Bengal Tigers left for dead in the 8th and 9th inning, came from behind to pull out the victory against Arkansas.
The 1-0 from Gibbler. Swung on, a line drive to left field, coming in, diving! It's going to be Davalon, and he missed it! It's over in the corner! Coming in to score is Fry. They'll send in Milam, and we are tied at 5-all! Hey now! One of the best defensive teams in all of the country, and Davalon took a chance on coming in, trying to get the line drive, and it ricochets off his body into the corner, and we are tied at 5-all. Wow! 2 balls, 1 strike to Jared Jones. Hernandez down at second base. Bottom of the 9th, tie game. This one hit in the air, line drive. It's off the glove of Kojal into center field. Here comes Hernandez. He is safe. Tigers win. Tigers win. They are headed to the championship series here in Omaha. Bye-bye, Arkansas.
That was kind of mean.
He didn't say hit the road. That would have been kind of rude.
Yeah, he
He
could have
said
said
bye-bye.
Yeah, he could have said see you in hog heaven.
Oh.
I'm just saying, there's worse things that he could.
Do you think it's time for Arkansas to change the marketing gimmick that is Omahogs?
Well, they know how to get there.
Yeah, Florida State, they did it, 28 times without a championship?
Wow, really? Is that many?
Mike Martin, he was a mainstay in Omaha. Could never get the big one.
Whew.
I think Clemson is the same way. Clemson and Arkansas right there around, 12, 13 College World Series appearances without a national title.
And, again, you get to look at your former assistant who did that last year, and this just makes it a little bit harder to see Mr. Vitello up in Knoxville.
It's unfortunate, especially when you look ahead of the football season and what's projected for Sam Pittman and the Hawks.
So I immediately
Basketball, though, looking up.
So I immediately started seeing lists of the most devastating losses that involves SEC teams, like in other sports. And obviously this is right up there, the 2018 Oregon State-Arkansas baseball game where Arkansas was on the verge. I'm not talking about like mid-season games, or I know the Iron Bowl. It was not like a national championship game. The Gravedigger,
So the kick six isn't on there?
I've seen the kick six. That's on there.
Is this between SEC schools or just one at least involved?
Just one. Bama, Georgia, national championship, 2nd and 26.
Bama, Clemson.
Hey, we don't talk about that one.
Notre Dame, Mississippi State women's basketball national championship in 2018. I've seen that on lists.
Auburn, 2013, Florida State.
Yeah. Oh, national championship.
Kelvin Benjamin.
I could see their the Virginia Final Four game being on there as well.
That would be on there.
It was pretty bad last night. I did not tune in earlier this morning to see what the reaction was of the people in the state of Arkansas. And Molly saw the tweet from Ty Richardson last night, and he was trying to make it sound like Arkansas fans,
Or numb to it?
Yeah.
Well, they might be at this point.
He said, you don't know true pain until you meet an Arkansas fan.
So you kind of wanted to debate that with him, right?
Just a little bit. I've experienced a lot of pain in my life with my fandom. At least since I've been alive. Now, older Nebraska fans, it's a little different.
True.
But my generation, it's been pretty rough.
Well, same can be said with older Arkansas fans.
Exactly.
They had success in the Southwest Conference, and not so much since they've been in the SEC. No, they did win the SEC national championship in basketball.
The Darren McFadden years were fun. Not that you're winning
but they didn't win
championships.
SEC
yeah,
championship.
No, you were
and-
still very good.
And I guess to some degree, it's like this now with the college football playoff that we have expanded. It's at 12 teams. Eventually, it's going to get to 16. The Final Four. But College World Series is the same. We remember the winner in most of these sports by year, but we fail to remember the other participating teams that got there.
Unless you lose in devastating fashion.
Would you rather, Conrad, your team not be on that stage, lose like that, or would you say, no, I'll take that every single year? At least we got there.
Oh, you mean just over not making it to the postseason at all, essentially?
Or you get eliminated in your super regional or your regional.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you take the heartbreak, right? Because you made it, right? You were one of the 4 best teams at the end of the day. You were one of the final 4 teams standing in college baseball. I think you'll take that time and time again. Now, will it get more devastating every year? Absolutely, but at least you have something to root for, right? Otherwise, it's just kind of sad.
Well, and you knew that it was going to be an uphill climb anyways because you were facing elimination, whereas LSU was going to have another one to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it just proves that statistics, they're great to look at, but when you get between the white lines and you got to try to figure out how to actually win these games, because Arkansas had the best defense in all of college baseball, not just the teams in Omaha, and they made mental errors, they made physical errors, cost them the ball game, cost them a trip back to Fayetteville. Meanwhile, they went into the College World Series averaging 2 home runs per game. Let me repeat that. 2 home runs per game on average. And that was double what the closest competition of any team in Omaha. LSU had the 3rd best ERA, Arkansas one of the best, and Arkansas is going home.
So it makes baseball a great sport.
Mm-hmm. But the mental errors and the things that took place on the back end of that game, just the margins of error, especially when you're playing a good team like LSU, you can't give them extra outs, and you can't when you have an opportunity to take them out.
And you know it when you see it. If you're a fan of that team or you just follow it, I think Conrad put it perfectly to begin the show. When you see those kinds of mistakes in that kind of game, you know 99% of the time it's going to come back to probably cost that team the game.
And we've seen it happen with, happens to everybody. It happens to the role player. It happens to the star player. Go back to the NFL and Mark Andrews and fumbling, that's the last guy in the world you ever think is going to blow a game for you. But
once that happens, you know that you're cooked.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
You know you're doomed.
Yeah, because it never happens otherwise. It's just unfortunate when it happens at that time.
Well, even in baseball, if you walk the leadoff man. I don't know, Pat, what statistically or percentage-wise that guy comes around to score, but it's a pretty good clip.
I would say off the top of my head, it's probably 60%. I'll try to find that just off the top of my head. But yeah, you can mark it down. Better chance of them scoring on that leadoff walk than not.
But still, there's a chance team turns double play, they get out of it, run does not come home to score. My point being, in those kind of moments with those kind of plays, even though that you get the out, instead of going and trying to turn the double play, you just knew it was going to cost them.
Actually, I was wrong. It's 34%.
Yeah.
So it's not 60% as I thought. So yeah,
So
34% on a leadoff walk that scores.
That's still pretty good. Take those odds.
Well, you can thank the Braves for that 34%. They lowered the number a little bit this year. And we get guys with leadoff triples. We can't get them home.
LSU is a -1.5 run favorite on Saturday against Coastal Carolina in Game 1. That's -160 on the money line. The over/under is 8.5.
See, my thing with Coastal, too, is, what happens if they do lose a game to LSU, right? Because you've been riding high for so long. Are you going to be able to bounce back the next day, pick yourself up off the mat, and go out there and win a baseball game and keep your season alive? That's the thing for them, because there's no doubt they're the hottest team, but what happens when you lose one?
If they ever do.
If they ever do, they may not. They may not.
I guess that's decent value for the Shanties.
I'm with you. I'm kind of leaning Coastal in terms of they're just playing real good ball.
Text line is open 205-834-9450. Mike in Shreveport chiming in, talking about Mike Martin, former Florida State head baseball coach. Mike Martin is a Christian and lives what he believes. He was asked about not winning the College World Series and if he had any regrets. He said he would certainly like to have won it, but said he coached to have an impact on the lives of young men, which he believed he did. So he accomplished his main purpose as a head baseball coach at FSU. Good man. Thank you, Mike. We appreciate that. Richard chiming in. Even if I know my team is going to lose every time, I'd be okay with making a championship game on a regular basis because the journey to a championship event is bigger than the destination.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it every single year.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to ask, a Bills fan of the 90s, how do you feel about this sentiment? But you like feeling like you have a chance, right? At least you were in contention.
Right. Bobby says people are focusing on the mistakes Arkansas made, but on the other end, LSU made them too, and that gave Arkansas runs. At the end of the day, LSU kept their composure when it mattered most, and Arkansas didn't. That's why the Tigers came out on top. Go Tigers. Thank you, Bobby. We appreciate it.
Yep, you'd rather have an error in the top of the 8th than the bottom of the 9th.
Jason reminds us that Herm Edwards said, you play to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Tripp said, sorry, can't listen today, but I had to get this. I had the under minus 10.5 brutal loss on Arkansas and LSU. That is brutal.
Whew.
Sorry, Tripp.
Yeah.
Please listen when you can.
It was looking real good for a while.
Yeah, 205-834-9450. Your interaction always appreciated on the Jox text line. We continue here on this Thursday. We'll get you updated. Some things happening in college football as well.
I've been waiting for the rain to stop so I can get back on my zero turn. It's been over a week now. I'm going through withdrawals.
I bet you are.
I need to get back on my Toro zero turn that I got from Artec Tractor. Artec Tractor in Jasper, locally owned specialist in mowers and tractors. They have Toros, Cub Cadet, Gravely, Bobcat, Spartan, residential to commercial grade, more brands and better selection than the big box stores. That's why I decided to go to Artec Tractor. I did not go into one of those big box stores, literally right down the street from my house. I decided to use the very best, which is Artec Tractor. They have tractor brands like Mahindra, Bobcat, everything for large home acreage, small homesteads to large farms, or hunting plots. They've got it all. More importantly, the knowledgeable sales department that advised me on the best purchase for me, which was going to be that Toro Zero Turn. They have a large selection of used heavy equipment as well. Jeremy, Greg, and the other guys, they're going to take great care of you just like they took great care of me. Just north of Jasper on Highway 5, or visit their website and take a look at what they got. That's what I did to start the conversation of what was going to be best for me. Just go to artectractor.com. More three-man front on this Thursday. Jox 94.5. 12:17 here on Jox. This is Three Man Front. Thanks for making us part of your day. A reminder, things have been pushed back at the East-West Baseball Classic at Rickwood Field. The shuttles and the gates are going to open up at 12:30 in about 15 minutes from now, and then you'll have the Home Run Derby at 2. You'll have the game at 3. So hopefully this will hurry up and get out of here. It's just barely sprinkling now, so.
Hopefully you'll have a chance to hurry over to our friends at Dobbs Ford on Parkway East. Wonderful folks. That's the selling point. Now they have a great inventory of Fords, SUVs, trucks, cars. You can find it all there. They're going to beat any competitor's price, but it's the people. And you're going to enjoy the entire experience. Whether you buy anything or not, they're going to treat you first class the way that you deserve to be treated. Dobbs Ford right there on Parkway East, DobbsFordBirmingham.com. Right now you get Ford employee pricing on certain makes and models, 90 days until your first payment. They got a great pre-owned selection as well. But check out the Expeditions, the F-150s. If you want to go with a Dobbs edition, they soup it up, make it look really, really, really good. If you're going to be in the woods or you just want a pavement premises that you can brag about to your friends and say, hey, I'm never going to go into the woods with this truck, but it looks really, really good. You can do it there. The Broncos Sports, the Mustangs. Check it out, DobbsFordBirmingham.com, Parkway East. Always tell our friends at Dobbs that Landrum from Jox and Three Man Front sent you.
So Brett McMurphy from the Action Network a couple of nights ago, he broke the news, and really nobody else had it, that there had been an impasse there at the commissioners' meeting in Asheville, North Carolina. So then yesterday and late last evening, there came some more information out from some other college football writers, including Ben Portnoy, who was just on the show about a week ago from the Sports Business Journal. Apparently, the Big Ten wants a playoff where access is more like the NFL structure, determined through automatic qualifiers based on conference standings to limit the subjectivity of a selection committee. That's why Big Ten continues to push for the 4 automatic qualifiers. And the Big Ten also supports all 4 leagues, including the SEC and the ACC, playing 9 conference games. Now, the SEC, they have moved away from such a playoff format of the 4AQ model. After its coaches publicly pushed back down in Destin, Florida, they would like to see the 5-11 format that we've talked about incessantly here on Three Man Front. But the SEC also wants to change the selection process to more heavily emphasize strength of schedule and the strength of the conference that we, once again, have talked about incessantly. College Football Playoff Executive Director Rich Clark, with assistance from a Google mathematician and a university math professor, they gave a presentation to all the commissioners, including the creation of a strength of record metric to more heavily weight a team's strength of schedule, conference strength, and in particular, non-conference games. Clark presented the data and potential adjustments to the selection committee criteria in an effort to salvage the committee's role to appease both the Big Ten and the SEC, because they both have problems with the selection committee. Now, commissioners gave Rich Clark some feedback about potentially rewriting some of the language of the protocols used to the selection committee members. CFP leaders will now mull it over, Clark said, before the group continues to meet throughout the summer in an effort to reach an expansion decision by December 1st. That's the drop dead date for the 2026 expansion. Clark went on to say that there's plenty of runway left to come up with a decision on this, but it is the responsibility of the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten to work this out, because everyone voted to give them the power. But it now appears that that once firm alliance that met multiple times, in Nashville one time, New Orleans the other time, that there is some serious disagreements in regards to the 5-11 that the SEC wants and the Big Ten that just wants the automatic qualifiers like you see in the NFL.
Well, all right, so with the 4 automatic qualifiers, back when we were saying
the 4-4-2-2-1 model.
Yeah, the SEC and the Big Ten, you're going to get 4.
Mm-hmm.
That is taking into account strength of schedule for most years, and you take a however many years sample size.
That was one idea. Remember, the other idea was basically having playing games.
And having playing games. But now, if you're trying to appease everybody else and say we're not going to get the 4 automatic qualifiers, then you absolutely should have a heavily, heavily, heavily weighted system on strength of schedule. And I'll say it until I'm blue in the face. We need transparency. We need whatever data that the selection committee is looking at. And I know part of it is eye test, but strength of schedule has got to be a heavy, heavy dose of that.
And that's what the SEC wants.
Right.
But others are not saying that that's not important, but that is not the top pinnacle thing that is on the board for those other conferences as it is the Southeastern Conference.
Because they know it would not behoove them.
Well, think about this. The SEC could stay at 8 games, and the SEC could say, see, we're still a powerful conference because you're not taking into account how difficult it is to win on the SEC road, okay? Like, you need to give us a few more data points if a member of the Southeastern Conference. Meanwhile, the Big Ten is saying, hold on a second. Y'all need to play that extra conference game. You know, we understand that it's difficult to win on the road or whatever in your conference, but you only play 8 times. You don't play 9. The ACC doesn't play 9 times. So you need to get back in the same ballpark that we're in if we're going to have this discussion, because all of these schedules are not created equal.
Well, and just because you have competitive games week in, week out throughout your conference doesn't mean that the strength of your conference is necessarily super strong. It might be you have a lot of equally matched teams, but when it all came down to it, the cream of your crop and the cream of the SEC or the Big Ten's crop, I'm talking to you, TCU, against Georgia a couple of years ago. Yeah, TCU had some close games. That was awesome.
Well,
But
remember,
we saw what happened, 65-7.
Diego Pavia's comments on the podcast earlier this week where he basically took a shot at the Big Ten. Well, Matt Schick from ESPN, he does a podcast, and he also hosts a show on SiriusXM Radio on the Big Ten channel. This was his response to what Diego Pavia had to say in a shot at blasting the Big Ten.
But I think to the point that he's making, if we can kind of read through some of the ego-driven trying to throw shade at the Big Ten, is the second tier we've talked about. The second tier of the Big Ten needs to stand up. It needs to make themselves known. It needs to get in the playoff conversation. Like for the SEC, South Carolina is there at the end of the season going, we should be in the playoff because they've elevated their brand. They've had some big wins. And Shane Beamer has done some nice things there at South Carolina. Forget it, win over Clemson a couple of years ago. Like winning some marquee games, beating Tennessee, winning these games helps. For the Big Ten, teams like Illinois, teams like Iowa, teams like Wisconsin, Nebraska, after the top 4 or 5, and Indiana, we'll see if they were a flash in the pan. But after those top 3 or 4 brands, you've got to have programs that are nationally relevant and in the championship chase, if not for the Big Ten, then if not for the playoff, if not for the national championship, something, right? So I get where he's coming from, but I do believe, and I do side with Brett Bielema, that you're also saying something that might have been true 3 or 4 years ago. I'm not sure it's as necessarily true today.
Well, and he just named some of those schools. One that I did not hear him mention that need to really step up and hold their own is USC.
It's a great one.
That's what the Big Ten was counting on. I realized the eyeballs in the market and where your footprint was going to be. That was a big part of it. Still is. But USC's got to hold their own. Wisconsin. How many years did we see Wisconsin in a Big Ten championship game? And granted, they were probably going to get beat, but they got to hold their own. Michigan State. No, he's trying to turn it around, but Michigan State is one of those teams that they should be in that. If we're going to cut it in half, they should be in the top half.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The one part that I will disagree 100% with what he was saying is that it might have been the case over the last couple of years, or it used to be that way, but not the last couple of years. That's a bogus statement.
He contradicted himself in what he was saying at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, that is completely bogus. Now last year the Big Ten did, in the final rankings, they ended up having 5 teams ranked in the final poll in the top 25. The year before they had 4. The year before that they had 3. The year before that they had 4. The year before that they had 4. So you see the point? I mean, he contradicted exactly the point he was trying to make and take a shot at Diego Pavia. he is absolutely correct that the schools, and no offense, Molly, Nebraska's and the Iowas, they do have to step up. They're not in the conversation for a college football playoff. But when you have the Southeastern Conference, when you have Ole Miss in the conversation, you have South Carolina in the conversation. That's what makes the Southeastern Conference as tough as it is. You don't have the same 2 or 3 teams. In the Big Ten, every year you can say Ohio State, Michigan in most years, and Penn State. Penn State's always going to throw up on themselves. They're not going to be there when it's all said and done. But those are your bellwether Cal programs when it comes to football in the Big Ten. You have the other middle-of-the-road programs. They are not stepping up. They're not in the conversation for a national championship or a college football playoff.
Well, when you have a league as deep as the SEC, you can afford to have teams that have the off year when you have the likes of whether it's Ole Miss or South Carolina, or let's give them credit, Missouri, what they've been able to do. And your 8 and 4 teams are your Texas A&Ms or your whoever's. You can afford to do that. The Big Ten, it just doesn't seem like they've been able to do that as much as the SEC most years.
Well, and I mean, going back to again last year, like okay, you had your top teams. You know, your Indiana, Ohio State, Penn State, Oregon. They all got in the playoff, right? Outside of that, Illinois is the only other one that maybe you would have even considered in the arena of a conversation for a playoff spot, right? Because they won 9 games in the regular season. But you get past, I mean, you had Alabama, South Carolina, Ole Miss, LSU, Missouri won 9 games, like you just brought up. Like those were all teams that were right there in the college football playoff. That's half the conference.
In 2022, the Big Ten only had 3 teams ranked in the top 25 when it was all said and done. 3 in the Big Ten. And it was the usuals. Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State.
And that's not, they would have been in the playoff. That's the entire top 25.
That is correct. And in 2021, you had Michigan, Ohio State, and Michigan State and Iowa. Remember? That was the off year. That was the Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, they show back up, and then we find out, Mel Tucker was
doing inappropriate things on the phone.
And all of a sudden, then that program's back to where it is. So he just contradicted himself. He is 100% correct in regards to the middle of the road, the second level Big Ten programs need to step up and be in that conversation for the college football playoff. But his statement about how it might have been the case, long time ago, but it hasn't been that way the last couple of years. I just gave you cold, hard facts on the Big Ten.
Well, that's what the thing is. Within a minute and 20 seconds, he had gone from listing all the schools that need to step up to then saying, oh, well, that's not the case anymore.
No.
But then the argument they're going to fall back on is, well, look at what Illinois did to South Carolina. Look what USC did opening week to LSU.
In a nothing bowl game.
I get it. But
now, the opening game, that's a completely different argument. But on an absolute nothing bowl game with people opting out, and it's just, it's an exhibition game. That's all it is. So.
And the whole LSU opening week thing, that's just an LSU thing.
Yeah, they're bad season opener.
Yeah, Clemson will benefit this year.
Yeah. More 3-man front. We'll open up the text line, 205-834-9450, 1-800-239-WJOX. 1-800-239-WJOX, the courtesy GMC text line 205-834-9450. We were just sitting here looking over some numbers. I gave you only 3 Big Ten teams. We're ranked in the final 2022 top 25. Would you like to take a guess how many SEC teams in the final 2022 poll?
7.
6.
I counted Texas. They weren't in the league yet. Or Oklahoma.
They were a top 25 team. Texas was.
Was Oklahoma?
Don't think so.
What about Georgia Tech? I'm gonna go. Former members.
No Georgia Tech, no Tulane, no Sewanee College either.
Interesting responses coming in. And the genesis of this is still what we're talking about, Pat, and that is what format? What's right? To quote so many others outside of the SEC, what's best for all of college football? 205-834-9450, 800-239-WJOX. This gentleman, he knows. Good afternoon, caller. How are you?
What's up, man? I thought I was gonna make it to the 4th of July, but I had to chime in today. Hey, man, let me give you guys my real take on this. How can you reward or punish a team because of a conference's strength? And I'm saying that to say this. Can you punish Miami for being 10-2 because Clemson had a down year or SMU had a down year? Can you reward another team for losing, but you got 3 or 4 very strong teams in the conference? I'm saying that to say this too. When it comes down to a playoff spot, why are we still trying to reward teams for losing, but you want to punish certain teams for winning? That's what I see. Now, if you guys see anything different, just tell me, and I'll be welcome to listen.
So you think we should treat Miami the same way as we do SEC schools because they play college football just like everyone else? It doesn't matter how good the other teams are in the ACC compared to other conferences?
I think you should treat a team to their performance on the field week in and week out. If you got 2 losses at the end of the season, you should be rewarded.
So Army should have been in the college football playoff last year.
Where were they ranked during the season right before the?
Well, that doesn't matter. No. They had their wins. Doesn't matter. They had their wins. That's your argument.
Okay, reward them.
Okay.
We're going to have to expand this field based on this criteria.
So Liberty should have been in the playoff because they went 12-0 a couple years ago.
Which, by the way, Bama hater, for these kinds of arguments, I would have no problem. Let's bust this thing out to 32. I love it as a fan.
I mean, it's not the fact that Army or these Power 5 schools that go undefeated shouldn't be rewarded with a playoff spot. It seems like the powers that be want to punish the teams for going undefeated, but you want to reward certain teams for losing 2 or 3 games in a season. You can't have it both ways. Either you're going to go by the criteria or you're going to continue to try to change the criteria when the teams that you expect or you want in the playoffs don't cut it on the field. And that's exactly what's going on these days.
If this was all weighted on strength of schedule and the numbers that some formula spits out, would you be okay with that?
I go by what I see on the field. And this is another thing. If you want to say you're going to go by the strength of schedule and you're going to actually go by that.
Are you going by what you saw against Florida in week 1, or are you going by what you saw against Georgia Tech?
No. Hear me
with
out.
Miami.
This is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I told you guys yesterday, Miami stunk it up on the field against Syracuse that would have given us a playoff spot. And I said that yesterday. But this is where I'm going with strength of schedule. If you're going to go by that criteria, strength of schedule, and make that a priority, you should list every team's strength of schedule prior to the season. So that won't be a problem when it comes down to Selection Sunday.
But
so tell me this with strength of schedule. So do you think that from a competitive standpoint, the ACC and SEC are on the same playing field. The ACC is just as competitive as the ACC because that's what you're saying.
This is what I'm saying, and that's objective. Because
what do you think?
But just because it's competitive doesn't make it the best. You could have mediocre teams like the ACC has had most seasons, top to bottom, and yeah, it looks like a grind because nobody was really that good.
I understand the argument, but this is what I'm saying. If you're going to put that much emphasis on a strength of schedule, as in a team getting a playoff spot, you should punish that same team or teams when their strength of schedule is high and they lose to unranked teams. You should put the same emphasis on losing as you do winning.
Well, Alabama didn't get in. Alabama didn't get in last year. They lost to Vanderbilt and Oklahoma.
I didn't say Alabama.
I know.
I'm talking about all teams.
Neither did Ole Miss. They lost to an unranked Kentucky team.
You can't cry about your conference or your team had a tremendous strength of schedule and you losing to the weak teams on your schedule.
Okay, again, answer the question. Do you view the ACC and the SEC as on equal footing from a competitive balance standpoint? You think they're equally as competitive?
On a competitive standpoint, in my opinion, every conference has 2 or 3 teams that are going to be competitive every year.
I'm asking about the entire conference, Bama Hater, the entire conference, top to bottom.
The entire conference, we got the ACC has 2 or 3 teams. The SEC is going to have 2 or 3 teams. The Big Ten is going to have 2 or 3. It's the same. And then you're going to have one team that lucks up every year that's going to do something miraculous and go 11-1 or 12-0. That's not one of those 2 or 3 teams.
So you think that all conferences are equal then? That's what you're saying.
One conference is going to have more 5 stars than the other conference. They're going to be equally competitive now that the NIL and transfer portal has taken over college football. So it's never going to be any dominance from one team every year until the end of football time. It's not going to be that anymore.
ESPN and Fox beg to differ.
Huh?
ESPN and Fox beg to differ.
I don't care what ESPN. They have talking points and things to go by. I don't have talking points.
That's why your conference gets the short end of the stick when it comes to revenue.
Landrum. I just go by what I see on the field. Okay. And I don't think a team should be punished for winning, and I definitely don't think a team should be rewarded for losing.
So in high school football, for example, let's say there's an undefeated team in 2A. Do you think that they should be, I guess, given the benefit of the doubt over a team that loses 2 games in 7A? Because they went undefeated, right? It's a different conference. It's high school. It's a different classification. So do you view that the same way?
I think they should line the game up and make the best team win.
Good Lord.
I mean, you can't trick me into answering that question the way you want to.
But you don't even believe. You do not even believe the answers that you're given, man. You do not even believe what you're saying.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. In your heart, you believe it too, but you can't say it on air because you know you one of the fans of the team off McFarland Boulevard. But like I keep telling
that
you
has
guys,
nothing to do with this.
Movies like Major League and Hoosiers support Bama Haters' argument.
Hey, listen to me, man.
That's why they're movies.
Jerry Rice came from the SWAC. You could have put him in the SEC, Big 10, Big 12, anywhere. It would have been the same Jerry Rice.
Yep. Walter Payton, same thing.
All of those players that came from the SWAC. So that argument doesn't hold water with me.
Dude, that's one player, though. We're talking about entire teams. You're not even going along with the arguments we're making here. You're making your own.
Man, Alabama team was based on 1 or 2 players.
Did Jackson State ever lose? Did Jackson State ever lose a game with Shadur Sanders and Travis Hunter?
Exactly. 2 or 3 players, just like Alabama. 4 plus 2 used to equal 6, but 4 plus 2 equal 24 to 3 and 40 to 35.
That's some interesting math there.
I know it. Hey, man. Hey,
You're
you know I'm having
roots.
fun when I call up here, but you can't pull the wool over my eyes because I'm the big sheep, baby.
There you go.
Ain't no fun when the rabbit's got the gun. That's what he says.
You can't steal my saying either.
I can. You hadn't trademarked it.
You're right. You're right.
Bama Hater, thank you.
Hey, man, I'm going to try to make it to the 4th of July, but when you guys say something I want to call in about, I'm going to call right in.
You're free to call
anytime.
Anytime you want.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, man. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. More of your calls, your texts as well. 3-man front on Jox. Oh, lively conversation about the college football playoff. 4-4-2-2-1-5-11. The SEC and the Big Ten apparently are in an impasse right now.
2 + 4 equals 24-3 and 40-35. We've learned that.
That's one thing we've learned today. We've learned a great bit. We welcome your calls at 1-800-239-WJOX if you have a comment or two about what you just heard over the last 5 minutes. Love to hear from you here on Jox.
Let's go to Larry. He is in Huntsville. Hey, Larry.
Hey, how you guys doing?
We're doing well. Hope you are.
Yeah, good. I'm doing good. So my idea was this. I don't know when the last time we used a computer, but it was for college football playoffs, but this was like 15 years ago. I don't know.
Yeah, it was the last BCS game was the what was the
Was it 2000?
No, the last BCS game was the Auburn
13.
Florida State game.
Yeah, 13.
Yeah, for the national championship.
So it's been 12 years.
You're right.
So modeling has come a lot further. So I'm thinking we could go back to computers, and you want to keep the freaking committee, which never made any sense to me, because you've got humans and you're telling them you got to weigh these factors by this much, and they're just not going to do it because they're human. They're going to do what they're going to do. You could go back and you could get some really good modeling people and play around with plugging in different factors and different weights and go back 25 years or whatever. And if you want to, like I said, give the committee, tell them their job is the eye test, and put that in at whatever percentage, and put in strength of schedule or whatever, whatever the factors you want to put in, you could figure out a good way, I believe, to come up with a model that would produce consistent results. And you may not agree with it every year, but at least you would know every year what the goalpost is.
Right.
What you need to do. You don't have some saps on the committee go, SMU is kind of a cute story. We'll put, that kind of.
Is it crazy to think though? But all the different things that you're saying, that if we could put that in, all the different factors, metrics, is it crazy of me to think that if they did that, then there's an inherent fear of those outside of the Big Ten and the SEC that those two conferences would make up a majority of the college football playoff?
Yeah, they already do. So
right,
and they probably will for the next for the foreseeable future.
If you have a system of criteria that makes so much sense, and there's not more
from their point of
subjectivity.
View, yeah, you take, like I said, you could put in the committee and tell them their job is one thing, eye test, which is what humans are best at, and give that a weight, a percentage in the model. And like I said, we got computing power. You could go back 25 years and move the weighting of the factors around and see if it starts spitting out weird anomalies.
Right.
You in the space of a year, you could nail this down pretty solid. It wouldn't be perfect because nothing is, but like I said, at least you would know every year what you need to do, what metrics you need to perform in to get into the playoffs.
Yeah, they don't have this problem in
the
NFL.
I don't know, maybe that makes too much sense. I don't know.
Probably does. Larry, thank you for the phone call.
Well, the other problem when you try to compare the NFL to college football is that you have 134 college football teams. So, I mean, it's really difficult to say, okay, you can't break them off into 5-team divisions, and then the automatic division winner gets a trip to the playoff unless you're going to only play 8 regular season games and let 60 teams participate in a mini March Madness when it comes to football. That's the problem with the NFL model of the Big Ten, saying that they want to model what is going on in the NFL with these automatic qualifiers.
Well, and I know that you have exceptions like we had with Boise last year, like we have had in the past with Cincinnati. You've got exceptions to the rule. But if you only had the Power 4 teams to draw from.
Mm-hmm. About 64, 65 teams if you include Notre Dame.
Yeah. And you created if you just had 2 super conferences or 2 leagues, would that make it any easier? I would think that it would.
Perhaps.
But that would mean play more games.
Listen, I covered college football when the BCS was what determined who was going to play for a national championship because they wanted to take it out of the hands of the writers because you had split national champions. You wanted it to be settled on the field between the two best teams. Yeah, I mean, there was debate, but there wasn't the kind of venom that we've had the last few years with the college football playoff, including last year. I mean, you had a few people. Dan Wetzel was Tim Brando. They absolutely despised the BCS. And once certain people around college football intelligentsia saw that the SEC was gaining the upper hand because Alabama and LSU played that incredible game at Bryant-Denny Stadium, 9-6 in overtime, and then they played each other again in the national championship game. That was it. The Big Ten had enough. Everybody else in college football was like, we can't have this happen. We can't have the SEC have the best television ratings. We can have the SEC have the best teams and them have a rematch every year because they're always going to be one or two. That's when they came up with the college football playoff, and it was going to be 4 teams. And then the committee. And then 4 teams wasn't enough, so let's do 12. Now we're bitching and complaining about how the 12 are getting there. Now we're talking about 16 teams, and the Big Ten doesn't like the fact that the SEC wants a 5-11 format. A little bit of brief history of how we've gotten to where we have gotten.
Speaking of that, Don.
Hey guys, I'm on the bus at Legion Field, getting ready to go, but I think this thing's going to get rained out.
Well, don't be that negative, Don. Come on.
Hey, Pat, I'm just going from remember my childhood out here, man. I just want to go see Rickwood Field. Supposed to got a few people already out there. Well, nobody's in there yet. I think they're holding the bus because of the weather, but sorry you guys couldn't go, Pat. I know how disappointed y'all are not being out there.
Yeah, we are. What is the current rain situation? You said you're on the shuttle right now heading to Rickwood Field. Is it just a light rain? Is that what you're experiencing?
It's a light rain. It's a light rain. They're worried about another band coming in right when they're supposed to have the home run derby. I'm sure you guys know they're opening the gates at 1. There is several buses already full, waiting to get the go ahead to go. Because the gates don't open to 1, but. I talked to Joe DeLeonard called me this morning to let me know and everything, and I'm sure y'all probably knew this probably early this morning, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
We did.
We did. Don, be careful. Say hello to all of our friends there at Rickwood. Hopefully the weather improves. Hour number 4, 3-man front, next on Jox. 1 o'clock, it's hour number 4 of Three Man Front here on Jox, Landrum, Molly, Conrad, Pat. Hope you're doing well. Text line coming in. We continue to discuss what would be best for college football, what would be best for we as college football fans when it comes to the college football playoff. A lot of text coming in on that. We will get to the text line in just a moment. We also have day baseball going on as we speak. Bottom of the 4th inning. The Red Hot Reds, 8-2 out of their last 10, but the Twins leading them 9-4. Top of the 3rd inning, how about those New York Yankees? 4-2. They lead the Angels. Angels been a little bit pesky for you guys.
I was about to say the Yankees have almost scored as many runs today as they have in their last 6 games combined.
Bottom of the 4th inning, Nationals leading the Rockies. Nationals have been dismal over the last couple of weeks, 2-0. And top of the 1st inning, you got Pittsburgh taking on Molly's Tigers. 2 outs, no score, but the Pirates have the bases juiced.
Uh-oh.
Isn't it, is today Scooble versus Skeens?
No, I don't think we're going to get that, unfortunately, with all the postpones. And
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
All right, we'll keep you updated there. And what's going on at Rickwood, as hopefully we'll get the Home Run Derby in, weather permitting, and also the game, the East-West.
Well, Diamonds Direct, they really live up to their name because there's no middleman, there's no runaround, just incredible diamonds straight from the source. And the price is extremely reasonable. You get exactly what you want, and you don't have to empty your savings account to do it. When I first walked in a couple weeks ago, I truly felt like a VIP. They welcomed me with a glass of champagne, or if you want some water, you can get that as well. And they treated me like I actually mattered. It wasn't just a transaction, it was an experience. And the place itself is absolutely stunning. It's clean, it's modern, it's bright, and everything sparkles. And it's not just the jewelry. The staff really listens. I told them exactly what I was looking for, what I could spend, and the kind of style that I wanted. They didn't just show me a bunch of random pieces. They found things that actually fit me and my budget. So that's our friends over there at Diamonds Direct.
We will continue with your phone calls. They are welcome. 800-239-WJOX. The text line is open as well. 205-834-9450. A lot of reaction to not only content that we've discussed here on the program, but also to one Bama Haters call. Let Conrad put on his Tyvek suit and wade through these.
Yes. So we have a lot of reaction, actually, to Bama Haters' phone call, in which he essentially argued that all the conferences, the competition doesn't matter. It's just how many games you win. It doesn't matter who you play in your conference because level of competition is not different in the Power Four. So this text comes in from North Carolina. It says, Bama Hater will call Paul Feinbaum with the same BS. At least Paul cuts him off and makes fun of him. I enjoy your show, but not Bama Haters calls. Okay. Well, I'm glad you enjoy the show. Danny chimes in on the Courtesy GMC text line. He says, let Miami play an SEC schedule and see if they go 10-2. If Alabama had Miami's schedule last year and Miami had Alabama's schedule last year, what would the records have been? Different. I feel pretty confident they would have been different.
Do you think Miami would have beaten Vanderbilt?
Yes.
Do you think Miami would have beaten Oklahoma?
I do. I don't know if they would have beaten Georgia, and I don't know if they would have beaten LSU. But, yeah, to that degree, they certainly...
Do you think Alabama would have beaten Georgia Tech in Atlanta?
Yes.
Do you think Alabama would have beaten Syracuse at Syracuse?
Yeah, but actually that would have been an interesting game, honestly. I thought Syracuse was really, really good last year.
Do you think Alabama would have beaten Virginia Tech at home?
Yes. But I guess based on the transitive property, no, because Vanderbilt beat them and then Vanderbilt beat Alabama.
Would Miami have beaten Wisconsin?
On
the road?
I'll give them Wisconsin. I'll give them that one. Let's say someone chimes in on the text line. Bama Hater's the most aggravating caller. He sings the same song and dance over and over. He is completely delusional. Someone else chimes in. He says, hey, at least Bama Hater is a good troll for you guys to get some entertainment out of.
He has gotten really, really good at creating so much confusion that I don't know which end is up about midway through the call.
Yeah, he is very good at that. He's also not very good at answering the questions that I asked him, but that's okay. Let's see. This text coming in from Arkansas. He says, so with that being the case, just schedule what Bama hater would call cupcakes, and then every team in the SEC can go 12-0 and be in the playoffs every single year. Well, according to his logic, that's it. All that matters is how many games you win. I will say, based on that argument, he would be a great member of the College Football Playoff Committee, because that is exactly how they ranked things last year.
So if we go baseball terms, based on his logic, you hit 50 home runs on a major league field versus a major league pitcher, but I hit 50 home runs on a little league field versus a 9-year-old.
You still hit 50 home runs.
Are they the same?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you hit 50 of them. Let's see. Someone says, let Miami join the SEC and see how quick Bama hater becomes a defender of the Southeastern Conference. I have a feeling that might be the case there. Jonathan chimes in, Bama hater thinks he's the smartest person in the room. He is blinded by his hatred for Alabama, and it's getting pathetic.
The problem with moving to the SEC is I think Miami would have just as many appearances in the college football playoff or in a national title game as they have in their current conference.
Let's see, Jake chimes in. Says, man, Bama hater is dense as the day is long. He would make a great politician, though. Very good at dodging questions. That could be good. Oh, another one. Cool. Can't read that one. Appreciate the text, though. Okay. Somebody said I have... They had a suggestion for when Bama hater called in, and since I didn't do it, they said that I have the thing I'm allergic to, small. So, thank you, Joseph.
You have no nads?
Correct. He says, thank you, Bama hater, for once again showing what a complete moron you are. Okay. Let's see. Buddy Love chimes in. He says, does Bama hater know y'all don't actually pick the playoff teams? He seems to think that y'all are the ones making the decisions.
Well,
I wish we were.
Me and Pat are privy to the Vulcan's Head meetings with cigar smoke.
A lot of smoke.
Let's see. Mike in Huntsville says, this guy has no argument. He also adds in, I would definitely save Kevin Harlan over LeBron. Thank you. Yeah, if you missed that earlier, I asked Landrum if LeBron or Kevin Harlan were both hanging off a cliff and he could only save one, who would it be? And I don't think a single person has chimed in with LeBron yet. I think it's a clean sweep for Mr. Harlan there. Let's see. Freeman says...
Michael Jordan can save himself.
There you go. Freeman chimes in. He says, use the high school classifications for his stupid argument to make him understand. I tried to. He didn't seem to sway him at all. Let's see. Will says, can you explain to me what it means when the SEC does not want this, but the Big Ten does? So breakdown, does that mean it's mostly Greg Sankey when they say what the SEC wants? Or is it the whole conference? Is that 5 people, 50 people? He says, I am lacking in knowledge of the leadership structure of these conferences. So I think he's essentially saying, who's calling the shots in these conversations for the Big Ten and the SEC?
Well, obviously, there's 16 member institutions in the Southeastern Conference, and the commissioner of the conference works for the presidents and chancellors of those individual universities. That's why they have meetings. That's why they did what they did in Destin. Basically, they gave him his marching orders moving forward, how he's going to represent the conference as a whole. Sure, Greg Sankey is extremely powerful, and he has his own opinions of what needs to be done, but he will absolutely represent the conference as a whole of what they want. Same with the Big Ten and Tony Petitti.
Thank you, Pat. Let's see. Someone chimes in and says, man, Bama hater's coworkers must live in his head rent-free if he's surrounded by Alabama fans. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. Somebody chiming in, do y'all remember the Notre Dame versus Alabama championship game? Yep, we talked about that recently.
Wasn't much of a game.
Didn't go well for the Irish in that one. Let's see. Drake chimes in. He says Lincoln Riley and USC just picked up a big recruit. Okay, we'll have to go check that out. Let's see. Someone just texted in a great question. Thank you, Goldberg, but cannot. Yeah, can't answer that one. Great question, though. Let's see. Okay, now see, Bama Haters text again. He said, let's have a debate on air so I can answer all of your questions. Well, we asked you questions and you dodged them, so no. You had your opportunity and you didn't want to answer them. Roddy chimes in. He says, what do you guys think Vanderbilt's record would be if they played in the ACC? I think it'd probably be a little better.
Are you talking about last year?
I'm assuming so. We know they beat Virginia Tech. We saw that.
Who's scheduling the ACC? Are they playing?
Let's look at Miami's.
All right.
Do you have Miami's schedule pulled up?
I do. Just
that's this year's.
Confirming that
that's this
I get
year's.
the right. I know. I'm trying to move down.
Sorry.
I know. All right. Last year at Florida.
Loss.
Florida A&M win.
Mm-hmm.
Ball State win. At USF win.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia Tech. We actually saw that, right?
Yep. They did beat them.
Win. At Cal. That'd been tough.
That'd be an interesting. We'll give Cal that one.
What about at Louisville?
I give Louisville.
Okay. Versus Florida State, that's a win.
Yep.
Versus Duke, Battle of the Smarties. I'll give them a win. At Georgia Tech.
Loss.
Wake Forest, win.
Yep.
At Syracuse.
Loss.
So what does that come out to?
7-5. Fun little exercise there. Let's see. Can't read some of these. Some people are mean. Let's see. Someone says, even if I know my team will lose every time, I'd be okay with making the championship game on a regular basis because the journey to the championship is bigger than the destination. Oh, we read that one earlier. But he says, to your point, Landrum, in the last 19 college football national championship games, 19 SEC teams have played in it. Now, granted, there were a couple years you had 2, right? So that
5 different ones.
Yeah. 5 different teams. Correct. Brandon chimes in, isn't Baylor almost a must-win for Hugh Freeze's future at Auburn? I feel like this is Auburn's most meaningful game in a long time.
Yes. I don't know about his future, but that's one that you're counting on. I don't know how good you feel about Georgia. I don't know how good you feel about on the road at Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and then Alabama at the end of the season at home. So, yeah, I would think that, that's a must-win.
Somebody says, y'all should have Molly debate Bama hater. He might give her more leeway than the Waffle Stomper.
I'm okay. Thanks, though.
We could do a pay-per-view, right? That'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Some of these we just cannot read. So
you can't even get creative with them?
No, I don't want to. No. I don't want to go down that route today.
Okay.
For some people. But appreciate everyone texting in 205-834-9450. That'll get you on the courtesy GMC text line. And if you text it, we will do our best to clean it up and read it.
So many of you have experienced these heavy rains. And if you're a homeowner, you got to make sure that your roof is okay. That's why a free roof inspection is a must-have right now. 205-922-7134. That's the number to Abide Roofing. AbideRoof.com is the website. Travis Lloyd and his fantastic local roofing team, they're ready to help you. They're ready to give you that free roof inspection. There's no strings attached. There's no pressure. They just want to give you an honest look at what's going on top of your roof. And if you've noticed over the last couple of days that maybe you've got some leaking in your attic, or if your sheetrock looks like you got a couple of drops that have come in from the ceiling or the roof, that's where Travis Lloyd and his outstanding roofing team is ready to help you. That's what happened to me. I noticed something going on in my kitchen. I called Travis Lloyd. He got on my roof, spent a couple hours on my roof, checked everything out, realized I had some loose shingles and some other problems. Then all of a sudden, my insurance company got involved. They were kind of dragging their feet. Travis Lloyd was right there the whole step of the way. The communication was outstanding, and he was able to discuss my issues and get me that 100% roof covered by my insurance company. That's what he can do for you at Abide Roofing. Call him today, 205-922-7134, or go to their website and schedule one of those free estimates, one of those free roof inspections at abideroof.com.
5 questions from Pat. We try to answer as a group. Pat ponders next on Three Man Front.
One 118 Jox 94.5. You know, Courtesy GMC summer sales event, and the savings are hotter than ever right there at Courtesy GMC in Trustful. You can get up to $15,000 off the luxurious Sierra Denali Ultimate, or save up to $11,000 off the rugged AT4X with the largest selection in Birmingham. They have 9 acres of inventory, whether it's a brand new GMC or one of their certified pre-owned vehicles that are ready to move. Right now, the selection has never been better. They're at Courtesy GMC in Trustful. Go give them a try. It's just an easy drive right off of I-459 exit 32 in Trustful. You can also check out their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com. Visit them online, stop by online. You can schedule a test drive. You can come on out and see them. Drew Lawley and Josh Gargis. They're ready to help you. So go by and see them at Courtesy GMC.
He serves up questions. We try to knock them out of the park. This is what we call Pat Ponders.
I want to know what you're thinking. Tell me what's on your mind.
It's time for Pat Ponders.
Brought to you by the aforementioned Courtesy GMC and Trustful. Brings you Pat Ponders every day. Question number 1. What percentage of fans, other than those from LSU, will be rooting for Coastal Carolina to win the College World Series?
Oh, I think everybody there with the exception of LSU. Yeah.
Yeah, I think LSU is one of the teams that, we like to say, oh, it's all about the SEC and let's do it. But I think LSU is one of those teams that people kind of look at and go, yeah, except for you.
Well, except for Kevin O'Sullivan, if he's there watching.
Or the Bat Boy.
Or Tony Vitello.
Or Tony Vitello.
There's kind of a long list of SEC guys in baseball.
Yeah, I think it's going to be heavily towards Coastal Carolina from everyone else.
It kind of stinks because they've done it before. Now, if this was a Murray State run, first time we'd seen it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we've kind of seen Coastal Carolina coming for a while, right?
Yeah. And people just, SEC hatred, they're tired of us, so yeah.
I go like 90%, probably.
Yeah, I think the majority of folks.
Yeah.
Outside of the Bayou.
I think you'll still have some people rooting for LSU just because it is the SEC. But I think most people will be for Coastal.
Who do you think the bars are pulling for?
LSU, baby.
Does it really matter at this point?
No, they probably already made their money.
Ty probably ran up a big tab.
Well, I was about to say now either you're going to get happy LSU fans or sad LSU fans, and they're both going to be hammered, so it doesn't matter.
This is true.
Yeah, but you don't want sad, now I'm angry, intoxicated LSU fan.
Well, that happened last weekend. They had to close down the bar. Too many fights.
I wonder who won that. The LSU fan or the Arkansas fan?
I will take the LSU fan.
Beat them again last night.
It's another 0-6 against LSU in Omaha.
Question number 2. We know Nashville is near the top of the possible Major League Baseball expansion. Orlando, Portland, and Salt Lake City have current efforts to lure Major League Baseball to their city. Now you can add another city to the list. The newly formed Austin Baseball Commission has launched its own campaign for an expansion franchise in Austin, Texas. If we all assume that Nashville is a given that they will ultimately get a baseball expansion, what would be your personal second choice of a second expansion team in Major League Baseball?
It wouldn't be Austin.
No.
Sounds too much like Boston, number 1. And if I'm listening to scores, I might get confused. But also, I don't think Texas needs another team.
No.
Who would be that next one?
You said it was Nashville, Orlando. What was the list that you gave?
Orlando, Portland, and Salt Lake City, they have already, matter of fact, the Oregon legislature this week, they allocated $800 million to the potential funding of a baseball stadium in downtown Portland. Salt Lake City's got independent people, and now you've got Austin, Texas. So Orlando, Portland, Salt Lake City, and Austin, as of this moment, appears to be the cities that have the forward thinking and things in place to potentially put something in front of Major League Baseball.
I'd be good with Salt Lake City. It just seems like a sports town that they're going to support their franchise no matter what. And I don't think it would hurt just geographically to have another team right there. Seems like there's kind of a void. You got the Rockies, you got the California teams. I guess you will have Vegas, but also Arizona. Seems like that would be and then maybe that would help down the line when we start doing realignment.
Yeah, I think geographically Salt Lake would be probably the right answer. But if we're going outside of that and the cities that were just mentioned, I think Charlotte would be another one that I would consider. Now, maybe you don't want to do Nashville and Charlotte at the same time, but
Has
I was
Portland
gonna say
cleaned up?
Charlotte.
Really?
Yeah.
Has Portland, the city, has that cleaned up?
No idea.
wouldn't be my first choice.
Of that list, I would go Salt Lake, but like Conrad, I was thinking Charlotte. Kind of put another team in like the South region that's not Texas. Besides Nashville, obviously.
Yeah, I just don't. Again, this is my opinion. I don't know if Major League Baseball, if you're going to put a team in Nashville, because you're already going to have certain franchises, it's going to have a problem with Nashville getting a team anyway.
My franchise would probably have an issue with it.
The Atlanta Braves will have a problem with it.
Cincinnati,
the Cardinals will have, because the Cardinals draw a lot of folks from West Tennessee. The Cardinals AAA franchises in Memphis. I just don't think that they would put a team in Charlotte, which is the AAA of the White Sox.
No, that would be the problem.
You know, just the territorial rights. Because if you guys remember, the Baltimore Orioles had a real problem with the Washington Nationals. Big time. They did not want the Expos to relocate, to the point to where they literally, started a television network and then they sued each other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bring back the Expos.
Yeah.
I liked it when the Expos played some of their games in Puerto Rico.
Yeah, San Juan.
I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah. Basically just like what the A's are doing now in the minor league ballpark, because in San Juan, I think that stadium only, I think it was like 20,000.
Yeah.
It was very small. So, yeah. So now Austin, Texas. Austin, their metropolitan area, I read, is close to 3 million people now, whereas Salt Lake City is the size of Birmingham.
Huh.
The metropolitan area of Salt Lake City is right at 1.2 million. Birmingham is 1.1 million. And Salt Lake City has a NHL team, an NBA team, and now they're going for a Major League Baseball team. And we have a UFL team.
And none of their teams are named the Yeti.
We have a G League team.
Yes, we do. We have a G League team. We have...
That we will be watching the NBA draft with next Wednesday
That's
at the Edge in Homewood.
We have a USL team, the Legion.
We do.
Birmingham Barons.
I know a lot of people love the Birmingham Bulls as well.
Yep. Good franchise. So, all right, question number 3. The good old days. What time in sports history does that phrase take you personally back to?
Mid to late 2000s?
Late 80s through early 2000s.
I would go late 2000s, early 2010s.
Okay, so for each one of you, why? Why that time frame?
It's because when I was growing up, didn't have as many things to distract me. Watched a lot of NBA, Major League Baseball. If it was a sport, I was watching it, and I would follow it. And it just, maybe it was because of coverage, but just seemed like you didn't have a whole lot of this extra outside noise. Now, part of that is social media, and media is what it is now. And yes, we are part of that. But I hate to say wholesome, because I know bad things have happened throughout sports history, no matter the sport. But it seemed like there just wasn't as much extra nonsense.
I think that's
Yeah.
I think that's very, very applicable. And I think there's other things that go around it. Like, I think for a lot of people, it's in your, whatever your formative years are of your sports fandom for certain teams, right? A lot of that is when you first remember, maybe a first championship or the first time that they lost a championship. And that kind of is what brings you into the sport and carries you with it for a long time. And for me, like the reason that I wanted to do this as a job is because, when I was 8 years old, I woke up at 4:30 every morning so I could watch SportsCenter twice before school because I loved that so much, and it was such a great product at that time. And we don't have to get into that now, but everything else even going on around the sport was it was better in a lot of ways.
No, I share the same. I mean, the late 2000s, early 2010s, those were my formative years. And, at the time, my family, we lived in Michigan. And some of my favorite childhood memories, even though Detroit sports weren't very good when we lived there, except for the Red Wings, they were great. But some of my favorite memories as a kid are being able to go to a Tigers game with my family. The Lions, even though they went 0 for 16, it was still a fun time because you're spending that time with your parents. And, now kind of sitting here and both those teams are great. It's a little different, but no, those were just my formative years and some of my favorite early memories kind of forming my fandom.
When I was a kid, really, really young age, I would put on a Braves jersey and I would watch the games, and I just kind of pretended that I was there in the dugout as part of the team. My wife asked me last night, she said, you would still watch all of the games that were on TV? And I said, yeah. And a lot of times I can remember working a summer job in the middle of nowhere for my stepdad and living in that Airstream that I was talking about. And I can remember those days, those weeks, they were long days, a lot of hours during the week, dog tired. But the thing that I look forward to, especially late in the day, I was thinking, I'm going to get a hot shower, I'm going to get something to eat, and at least I got the Braves for 2.5, 3 hours tonight. And that was the highlight of my day.
All right, that's today's Pat Ponders, brought to you by Courtesy GMC. Go to their website, courtesybirmingham.com, and find out about all of their wonderful summer sales event deals. That is Courtesy GMC in Trustful.
Conrad's trying to keep you safe. Unfortunately, he's seen something bad. He's going to share that with us, the worst thing that Conrad has seen. We'll do it next on Three Man Front. .134, it's Three Man Front on a, unfortunately, rainy Thursday. Those of you heading to Rickwood Hopefully, if the rain continues, it'll be a lighter rain and more manageable for the Home Run Derby and the East-West Classic. Updating you on Major League Baseball scores right now. Twins leading the Reds 9-4 in the bottom of the sixth, bottom of the fifth inning. Conrad's Yankees leading the Angels 4-2, bottom of the sixth. They're all knotted up between Colorado and the Washington Nationals. Detroit has opened up a can on Pittsburgh, 5-0 as they play in the top of the third of that one. And Pat, St. Louis Cardinals playing a doubleheader today. One of
6. It's the 6th one this year.
One of 6 that they have played this season. 1-0 over the White Sox. Cubs with a 2-1 lead over the Brewers, bottom of the first. There you get the Braves tonight in Jox 94.5 as they try to complete the sweep of the New York Metropolitans. You got Holmes going up against Spencer Strider, and hopefully Strider can back up his performance that he had just this past weekend. How about Mandu in downtown Homewood, electrical muscle stimulation fitness? Mandu is the place for you. You go into Mandu, you go in and they put you in a suit, hooks you up to a machine that sends electric pulses to various muscle groups. If you're trying to work the glutes for bathing suit season, maybe the legs, the arms, the chest, the shoulders, whatever you're trying to do, just overall feel better. You want to build up endurance. Tailor-made programs just for you. But here's the thing with Mandu. 15 minutes, because of that technology, the 15-minute workout, and that's all it is equivalent to 6 hours in a gym. It's FDA approved, and right now, in honor of this great country that we live in, now through the 4th of July, you sign up, you're going to get 10% off your first month's subscription. Mandu in downtown Homewood, MANDUU.com. It works. You'll like it. I promise. Make sure you tell them Landrum from Jox sent you. It is time to look around. We never know what Conrad has seen. There's a lot of bad out there in the world. This is the worst thing that Conrad has seen.
This is the worst thing I've seen.
Been in quarantine and I need to get out and party. Woo! What's better than beach and a few drinks and Jeeps? Man, getting better than that. Law enforcement's definitely made their visitability and made people chill out and not be as crazy.
The cops are doing their job as long as they don't be mean to people who are actually being innocent. Then I'm all gravy, baby.
Well, unfortunately, I'm here to report some more bad news today. So yesterday, if you missed it, we had a guy that peed on $10,000 worth of Spam and Vienna sausages at Sam's Club. Today's story's a little different than that.
I started thinking about that is a lot of cans.
Yeah, that's like
get
what,
like
a couple bucks a can. So it's what,
nine cans for $1 if they're on clearance.
I'm thinking that's got to be. It's probably more than 10,000 cans if
Yeah.
it's $10,000. So, anyways, but today we will go with a story. We'll start off with the story with a little bit of an international flavor, but this is unfortunately a very sad story. So this happened over the weekend. So billionaire businessman, his name is Sanjay Kapoor. He was playing in a polo match with, it looked like, some friends and family over the weekend. And unfortunately, during the polo match, he swallowed a bumblebee, which then stung him inside of his mouth and unfortunately led to him passing away from a heart attack.
Oh, no.
So, Mr. Kapoor, who is noted as a very good longtime friend of Prince William, actually, he is the chairman of global car parts giant Sona Comstar. But he died in Windsor, England on June 12th at the age of 53. So there's a photo that's gone kind of viral of him and his dad, really sad, posing right before the match in which he got stung by the bee. And so this is the last picture, unfortunately, that we have of him. But yeah, the bee went inside of his mouth. People there on site said that the final words they heard from him was, "I think I just swallowed something." And unfortunately, the bee then stung him inside of his mouth, which caused his body to go into shock and ultimately led to him having a fatal heart attack.
Dang.
Yes. So it is estimated that he had a net worth of $1.2 billion. Again, he was very good friends with Prince William and other members of royalty around the world. And he is survived by his wife, Priya, and their son, Azarius, as well as a couple of sons that he had from a previous marriage earlier in his life. But yeah, really sad and just bizarre story that doesn't seem that he was allergic or anything like that. It just, I had a bad reaction and caused him to have a heart attack, and that's what killed him.
Looking at this from 2000 to 2017, just in the United States, you had an average of 62 to 72 deaths by bee sting
Per year?
or wasp or hornet per year.
Wow. Yeah, I can imagine that swallowing one and getting stung would not be great, but yeah, for it to lead to a heart attack is awful. So thoughts and prayers with his family, his friends, as that's just a tragic story there coming out of England. But now, do we have time for one more? This one's a little tamer. We'll turn the mood around here. So this one takes place in the state of California, and thankful.
Are you sure we're going to turn it around here?
Yeah. Yes, I promise. I know that maybe didn't get it started off on the best foot.
Just saying.
But this story comes courtesy of what I assume is, I guess, cameras that this person has inside of their home that they use for surveillance. So there was an incident in a house in California where a bear broke in through the front door of a house in the middle of the night while the residents were sleeping. But fortunately, the family has a 17-year-old dog by the name of Doodle who confronted the bear after it broke into the family's home. So Doodle's owner, Zoe Cadman, was asleep in her home in California in the Monrovia area while a bear roamed around in her living room for roughly 20 minutes over the weekend. And thanks to security footage, you can see pictures of Doodle, the 17-year-old dog, confronting the bear and barking at it and forcing it to retreat out of the house. How incredible is this? So Doodle, determined to protect his own mane, shuffled over to the broken door as the bear poked its head inside. The invader reached out and tried to claw at Doodle, whose life surely flashed before its eyes as he evaded the swipe and returned with a bark. Both animals, apparently curious about each other, began to sniff each other and touch noses before Doodle let out another bark, which caused the bear to retreat from the California home. So just an absolutely
I'm looking at the video.
story
Doodle does start wagging the tail a little bit. I'm just wondering if Doodle had the gift that Ron Burgundy, his dog, had in Anchorman, where it could talk to the animals. That's literally what it looks like in this video.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely
Like the bear's like,
right.
oh, hey, you live here?
Yeah, so according to Cadman, who is the resident of the home, she says that she noticed a faint light shining from her kitchen, which is what initially got her attention when she woke up, and realized that her refrigerator was open because the bear had gone in and apparently opened up the refrigerator, at which point she realized that her door was completely destroyed and her dog was acting erratically. So she reviewed the home surveillance footage and found that her dog had successfully backed down a bear. And I mean, this is not a big dog.
No.
Not at all. We're not talking Yorkie here, but this is a 25-pound dog, maybe.
Let's again remind folks that it's a 17-year-old dog.
Yes, a great point. So yeah, just a great story of man's best friend coming to its owner's assistance when it was when they were fast asleep and bear breaks in and
So you got a dog or dogs at the house. You leave for the day. You come back. Pillows are torn. There's stuff that's knocked over. Don't always blame it on the dog.
Maybe it wasn't them.
Sometimes you got to review the tape.
That's absolutely
Could have been a bear that came in your house.
That is absolutely right. So that is a little bit of a better
side
story of the worst thing that I've seen. So
I'm glad Doodle's okay, and I'm glad the bear's okay.
Absolutely. You don't want a bear breaking into your house, but if you do, you want a Doodle.
Did it say the part of California where?
Was it Monrovia? It's in Northern California, is what it said. I think it was Monrovia was the area.
Because I know specifically Tahoe, like Lake Tahoe, one of the places that we stayed the week before, they actually had video footage. The bear walked in, and they had the motion censored in the lobby doors that open, kind of like you have at the grocery store, or just like you have at the grocery store. And the bear came in, helped himself. And Conrad, you would love this, to all the Otis Spunkmeyer muffins.
Ah, those are great.
Went after the Continental Breakfast Stash.
Great call.
And then walked out. So that happens a lot. And that's why they had the bear boxes for the trash.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like Monrovia is pretty close to Pasadena, actually.
All right, well, you ended that one on a good one.
Absolutely. So that is the worst things that I've seen.
Three-Man Front continues on this Thursday on Jox. 148, three-man front on Jox. Appreciate your participation on the program each and every day. Holiday. Some of you not working. Some of us are. Live programming will continue here on Jox following the completion of our show with one Paul Feinbaum and the Paul Feinbaum Show here on Jox. So we're glad that we could be here today. Unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating, Pat.
No, still a little bit of I don't even know what you would classify it. I mean, it's a nice little rain.
It's not a drizzle.
It's annoying.
Yeah. Best sums it up.
Well, hopefully it won't rain 6 days from now, because that'll be next Wednesday, June the 25th. And that will be where we are at the Edge in Homewood for the NBA draft party. So come out, watch the NBA draft with us, hosted by the Birmingham Squadron and all four of us here on Three-Man Front. They're going to do a meet and greet with Coach Saint of the Birmingham Squadron. We will be on site. They're going to have a bunch of different giveaways. They're going to have food and drink from different patrons there within the Edge. I know that they're also going to be offering up season's tickets for the Birmingham Squadron that are going to be available to win as well. So going to be a great event next Wednesday night starting at 6 p.m. Meet us at the Edge in Homewood for the Birmingham Squadron NBA draft watch party with us here at Three-Man Front.
I want to give a major kudos to the Hewitt-Trussville football team. They were over in Athens, Georgia yesterday. They were playing in the Kirby Smart 7-on-7 football tournament. It was 32 teams, and Hewitt-Trussville beat Josh Niblett's Gainesville High School out of Gainesville, Georgia for the championship.
Yeah!
Go Huskies.
Woo! So the Huskies take out Josh Niblett's Gainesville. I think they're the Red Elephants. I think that's their nickname.
Yeah.
So Hewitt-Trussville wins the University of Georgia 7-on-7. It was some really tough competition, but they knock off Gainesville to win the championship. You had Thompson High School win the University of Alabama's 7-on-7 championship about a week and a half ago. So two 7A powerhouses in the state of Alabama, Hewitt-Trussville winning the Kirby Smart 7-on-7 tournament. It was interesting. So yesterday I was getting reports of what was going on over in Athens, and they were playing on the outdoor University of Georgia football practice fields. Well, the University of Georgia football team, they were working indoors, just doing their normal off-season routine or whatever. And so they started getting some bad weather, just like we do every afternoon, seems like here in Birmingham. So they had to move everybody indoors to finish the semifinals in the championship game inside the Georgia practice facility. But they had to wait until the Georgia football team got done with their everyday activities.
That's awesome. Congratulations, Coach Floyd.
Yeah, so Coach Floyd, it was just kind of ironic. Of all the teams, it was 32 teams, and for them to get to the championship and play Josh Niblett's team, who, of course, we played just, obviously tons of times when he was the head coach at Hoover.
Sincere question. When do certain programs stop participating in those kind of tournaments based on the same fear that college coaches have with their A-Day games?
Well, it's interesting because
it's legit.
Talking about the A-Day games, there are a lot of coaches now that they do not participate in spring football practices, that they wait and they will do a jamboree late in the summer. That kind of kicks off their fall activities, and a lot of people are bypassing and just not even doing spring football practice.
We're not referencing learning our offense or learning schematically what we're going to do. It's NIL. The transfer portal.
Yeah.
See, when I was growing up, we always had our jamboree. It was like week 0 or 2 weeks before the regular season started. We never had a spring football.
We would have both.
game.
See, back then we could have both, and we had 2-a-days. And I can remember going to Coleman. We played a West Point team for 2 quarters. We played somebody else for 2 quarters. And then we would have another jamboree, and generally it would be at Vestavia High School. And we would do the same thing. You play a half, or you had so many teams that were participating. But that's awesome.
Yeah, that was huge. It was some really tough competition. And it's 7-on-7. I understand. It's not 11-on-11 football.
But somebody's got to win it. They're keeping score.
Absolutely. So it was nice to a good old Alabama team going over in University of Georgia's back pocket and walking out of there. And I'm sitting here looking at the trophy. I mean, you can see it, Landrum.
Wow. That's actually a pretty impressive trophy.
Yeah. So
is it nicer than the Wimbledon platter?
No.
It's not, but it's nicer than a lot of college football trophies I've seen.
Okay, wow.
The Kirby Smart 7-on-7 champion.
Oh yeah, that is a nice looking trophy. Thank you, Molly.
I got you. Don't worry.
I like it.
Does he award it to the winner? Or do they have somebody else that does that?
You know, I did not ask that question. I was texting with Coach Floyd last night. A couple of folks that Michael and Jennifer Gill, and their son Brandon plays for Hewitt Trustful, and so Jennifer was actually over there watching all the games yesterday. So she was texting.
Everybody remember this when Hewitt Trustful's got a bunch of guys in that signing class. Kirby Smart signs 5 off of Hewitt Trustful's roster.
Keep them in state, Pat. Come on.
Come on, Pat.
Hey, I've already sent 2 through high school. I'm done.
That's good news for you guys, though. You and Molly.
Well, again, it's 7-on-7. You're throwing against air. I mean, but like you said, you're going. Somebody's got to win. So why not be you?
As long as your opponent knows that they're playing, this isn't deer hunting.
Correct.
It's legit.
Yeah.
In all seriousness, congratulations to Coach Floyd and Hewitt Trustful. That was worth the trip.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it for us. We appreciate our guest, Mike Newton, friends of Rickwood, Rodney Orr. All of your texts and your phone calls as well. Hopefully, this weather slacks up. If you're headed to Rickwood, be careful. Enjoy the festivities there. Coming up tomorrow, we'll talk to the coach, Wimp Sanderson. Barrett Salee with the Braves report. Hopefully talking about a sweep of the New York Mets. For Pat, Conrad, and Molly, I'm Landrum. God is great. Paul Feinbaum. The Paul Feinbaum Show is next on Jox.